Okay. So now they all come in. Okay, so Sarah, you had a question?
Well, actually, I do have a forwarded comment. My name is Sarah Langette for the record. And I noticed that specifically through the celebrities of the 4th of July, there have been a lot of youth entertaining themselves at the bridge that takes the dam between Bay Pond and Long Pond. And they get on the bridge and then jump off the bridge. It's a fun thing that 4 years that before and sometimes when I go to go out into unbelievably it's something that the years and years more than one time. I won't tell you how we do. Anything else to public comment? One question. Anyone online have anything to public comment? None. I agree that we open the meeting in a minute. Does anybody have any questions? The next yeah, because this has been. I tried to Zoom at the last meeting with it. That's why I wasn't here at the meeting. I was pushing the buttons and all of it. Didn't work for me. I tried. I should have just came here. Oh, you can call me to change the name from there. I've had the comments. And on page 2, under the item about assessing, the conversation is on about the duties and the contract line, but about the timing of the contract. So we're looking to see if July 1st or June 30th would work, if the assessing did better on the year from January 1st. And we were just trying to right? And then the timing of the contract. Yeah, timing of the fiscal year. And the only other thing is done at the bottom of that, it should be a clear certificate. It's going to be certified with appreciation. Because we didn't have stuff last sorry. I will be approved the minutes as amended. Yes. Yes. Unfinished business, and I move that we open up the discussion of winter maintenance bids. And we have learned this afternoon that one bidder has withdrawn the bid. So we have a bidder.
What comments, Mr. This presents in Noah. We probably still have some time. So thank you for coming.
Yeah.
I did speak with, 4 or 5 references, and everybody was quite positive. And, in fact, one of the people, Ron Bellevance, I was trying to think of why his name was familiar on the list. And so he said, you know, he did fine, here for 6 years. So, you know, he said that we had talked with him and.
Yep.
Good words to say about you. So I don't know if anybody has any specific questions. I guess one question that we have discussed is equipment and personnel. And,
Yep.
you know, obviously for our awarded the contract, you would have until October of 24, another
Yep.
full year plus.
Yep.
And, you know, how would you address your increased needs for equipment and staff?
I've got my 2 sons and I've got 3 more relatives that's ready to go plow with me. They got licenses. They chipped, cut wood in the winter time. They're looking for something else to do besides wallow in the snow with a chainsaw. So
I get it.
I've already got the help to do it. I talked with Travis and Terry about the plowing. They're looking to sell their equipment they've got. I don't know if you were satisfied with what they've done. Obviously, they've done it for a lot of years. I've already mentioned buying their equipment. Their trucks are gonna be for sale as soon as they're done into this winter. I didn't really look hard at their equipment. I'd like to have something a little bit newer myself.
Mhm.
I have 3 dump trucks of my own already. I've got excavated, bulldozers. I do earthwork. And I've got a grader, I've got a loader, I've got a roller, skid steers. I've already got that stuff because that's what I do all summer long. I'm looking for something different to do in the wintertime. We plow driveways now. I plowed snow since I was 15 years old.
Mhm.
Both my sons plow now. We've got 3 pickups and a 1-ton with Sanders already for the smaller part of it. I don't know how. I don't want to purchase nothing until I know this is gonna be a sure thing. There was an auction just Saturday that I looked at and wanted to go, but they had 3 fairly new 2014, 2015 plow trucks there.
Mhm.
Until I know what's gonna happen for sure, I don't wanna spend the money for plowing for something that I'm not gonna use.
Mhm.
But I've already talked with the Warren brothers and their equipment's gonna be for sale, and I've already talked the price with them on their stuff, so. If this does go, I can have their stuff. I've already talked to them about it.
Okay.
I couldn't be any happier with that, just the fact that you took the time to talk to our current contractors.
Well, we've already made arrangements to go with them this winter.
Yeah.
We've got seats already set aside for us and we can go with them. And Travis said we can more likely get in the truck and go plow it this winter if we wanted to, we can go snowmobiling, but it's
You're banking on, you were itching to get on your machine and stay there.
But
I,
that's what he said, I've been 15 years since I rode a snowmobile and he says, I'm done, he said, I've had enough.
yeah, I was supposed to meet with him last winter, and we had one good snowstorm, and he called and he said,
That's what he
"Help me," and I said,
Yeah.
yes, I know where you wanna go. And
That's what I did, that's what he told me. We plow driveways already at home, we're already tied up, we don't go anywhere. But our situation mainly, my summertime gets me through the wintertime. I don't make no amount of money to speak of plowing what we plow. I more or less work all summer to get us through the winter. We're looking for something longevity for us, hopefully for 10 or 15 years. If I can have 10 years or 12 years, they're gonna take over what I've already got.
Mhm.
And we're hoping that it'll be a long-term thing for us, we hope.
We
what we're
would
planning
hope-
on
we would hope the
anyway.
same- I think we would hope the same thing.
We're hoping not to start a public works.
Yeah.
Right, that's the alternative for us, is to start up a public works department.
And I talk with our town garage, I deal with them quite a lot
Yeah,
in town. I live right in Sydney, I've lived there my whole life.
uh-huh,
I was introduced to this bid thing through Jason Stevens.
uh-huh.
That was how I heard about it and found out about it was through Jason.
Mhm.
Jason is married to my cousin.
Aha.
That was how I heard
Oh, the
about it.
circle gets tighter.
Yeah. The web gets tighter.
Surprised, but you're like Warren's. I've already mentioned Bellavance, hold on.
I see you're stacking the deck on your side. I got this.
I tried to talk to as many as I could to find out what I needed to know.
That's very sharp.
On the price part of it, I know there was a big variation between me and the other bid. And myself, I can't justify that. From what you paid last year to what you paid this year. I didn't see that much increase between me and the other bidder. I don't know where the money came from, what he wanted. Compared to my bid, I didn't see it. I went to Manchester, I went to Reedfield, checked their prices on what they had, what they paid. Belgrade was lower than both of them. Reedfield was more money, but they don't put up their own sand and salt. The contractor had to put the sand and salt up. So I couldn't justify the money in the price. It'd be one thing if I had to put the sand and salt up myself and store it in a building or something like that, I could see that, but
Right.
I couldn't see the difference in the money. I don't know.
Peter,
One just sort of logistical question, Mr. Cummings and family. So you folks live on the Quaker Road, right?
Yes,
So to get over here to do plowing, you just come down 27 and then just.
Yeah.
go wherever.
I've already spoke with David Stevens. And he's more than willing to let me park vehicles right in his gravel pit, like the Warren Brothers have been.
I feel like you checked every box that we would ask you to check and then 10 more.
Well,
Tom,
Yeah, I concur. I'm sure that we have the Public Works Committee, the emergency public. Somebody did. But, you know, you've answered all the questions. One of my main concerns was a contract of some period other than 3 years. You know, if you're happy with us and we're happy with you, that you want to do this on a long-term basis, and it sounds like you are. So I'm sure any little niggles can be worked out. You've obviously done your homework. I don't have any more questions. What money is it? Check those boxes.
Yeah.
now what about your private road customers? They're gonna be sad.
They're gonna have to find
They're
somebody
gonna be
else.
sad to
do
lose
it.
you. They
I got a brother that plows too, and he'll want the gravy, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
Well, they have over a year to get it figured out.
that's right. Yeah, no, I won't leave them high and dry.
I didn't anticipate that.
Yeah.
For some reason, so.
No,
And I
Dan,
just,
no, Carol, any question?
no, I'm really tickled that you took the time to talk to the Warren Brothers, because I've said, anybody who didn't, they've been doing it for us for years, and they know what we need, and they know what works.
yeah,
And now, how about mechanics?
we do our own
You
work.
do all your own, so just sort of like they do over there.
Yep, we do our own stuff. Yeah, put a motor loader in our motor this past winter, and that's the one before, and a dump truck the one before that, so.
All right.
We have our own garage. I have a 40 by 60 shop that we work in.
So are we ready to have a motion?
I make a motion that we award the winter snow plowing contract to Cummins and Son Construction at the agreed upon contract price for 3 years. $1,445,626.16.
I second.
Any more discussion?
No.
We're just gonna have to make sure that the stipulations on the equipment's met, since they don't have it.
Yeah,
There'll be like a follow-up, Dan, is that how that works out?
So. for-
Yeah, but the contract's pending. With, you know, getting the equipment.
Right.
yeah, because you have that from,
The only thing I need is the trucks themselves. So I have the grader, I have the loader, I have the 1 ton, I have the pickups.
and you have a year together. So. You have a year together.
Yes,
You tell them not to use it up too hard this one.
I've been looking at other trucks too besides, but
Okay, good point, Dan.
Good, yeah. excellent point.
Sarah?
I just have one of three with you. That if, let's say, a year and a half into this, you win the lottery. And you decide to move to an island in the Caribbean, please let us know.
And take it with you.
Just take me with you.
I won't go anywhere.
The reason I say that is not because of the winning the lottery, is because you will give the town time to figure out a new contract.
Yeah.
It's a 3-year contract, so.
Yeah.
So if you see ahead.
I don't play the lottery. You're safe.
Okay, have a motion and seconded? Yeah. All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Yes, 5 yeses. Thank you very much.
Thank
We
Thank you.
look forward to
One
working.
crisis averted.
Very much.
And tell Lori that thanks for letting me use her iPad.
Yes. She weren't gonna watch tonight. Can you see if she was watching?
No.
No, Victoria is.
I'm not gonna watch, I'm not gonna watch, she says.
She's like, I'm just gonna watch the feedback. I'll watch the video and say.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to go on your way. So thank you very much.
When will I need to come and talk with you again?
Will.
Right, so matter, keep us updated on your equipment,
Yeah.
let us know when you got that, and then,
Okay, that's the next thing.
and then it's.
Probably not until after the contract.
Yep.
Is.
Because we have a current contract for another year with the more.
Yes. Okay,
And the town minutes, the meeting minutes will show that you were awarded the contract.
Right,
okay.
so.
Next spring sometime?
Yes.
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah,
Okay.
but if you need a copy of the minutes, if you're gonna buy anything, if that will help, so they know.
No, as long as you can say this is gonna go, that's like going to buy 6 months.
All I need to
You have to sign it, right? You have to sign it. We should have signed it.
Copy of an agreement saying that we have all the way to enter into a 3-year contract.
It will be dated.
Because if you do
So,
it,
yeah, it's good.
finance and you try to be a quick.
Yeah.
That way you want to see it, you have
Right.
that, so.
Yeah, that's what I
don't make town let us know.
Okay,
We need to get that.
okay.
I would know.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks much.
I'll do it.
That's fine.
Thank you very much.
And then get a signature and then I'll have it.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Sarah, I will try to touch base with you tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Right, we're good.
I'm glad.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
He's pretty loyal, Bill.
yeah,
I just, the fact that he went above and beyond what we would have asked,
Very good.
actually, you know. Went and met with them and said, yeah, you can ride along with us, and like, that's huge, that.
and Ron Galvin said the same thing, and he had already talked with the Warren brothers about getting our.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And now they're like, we might actually see the end and be able to go somewhere.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So now what do we do with the Public Works Ad Hoc Committee? We have a party.
Just dissolve it.
Put them on a.
Dissolve so I make a motion that we dissolve the Public Works Ad Hoc Committee and send them all a letter thanking them for their participation.
I'll second that.
I think we need to at least keep that committee in some format. Because if this doesn't work out, and I'm not trying to be negative, we need to have people, or we reconfigure it. I don't know. I'm just concerned that,
If this doesn't work out, it's too late anyway. We're done. I would just incorporate it into, we could do the,
Road committee, so I was gonna recommend.
well, you could do the road committee, we also have to do the comp plan right off, right? So
Right.
I would run that, because eventually down the road, 20 years from now, you may have to have public works. I would have that built, maybe that same group can work on that part of the comp plan for a future public works.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because that way, at least we've got a blueprint for it.
Yep.
That's good.
I mean, they've done a lot of
there's a
groundwork,
lot of
a
groundwork.
lot of work, which is really helpful. Bruce?
And I just think that the road committee, now you're gonna resolve this, I think if you could maybe increase the road committee members by 2 or 3. So they're proactive on winter maintenance and summer maintenance and paving of roads. That way everything's getting dealt with, that way they can stay on top of the plowing contracts. So we're not left with an emergency again, they can be on top of it, and
How many do we have?
I don't know.
Gosh.
Because I know it's
Last
set
time
up
we met, I
by,
think there were only
I
5 of us.
okay. Because I know the committees are set up, the number are set somewhere.
Right.
Their ordinance.
Right, in an ordinance, but that could be changed.
Yeah,
We changed it
we have to
for,
go back to the voters.
yeah,
But would look at that. If we don't have as many as the ordinance says, I mean, obviously, go ahead and see if more people want to be on it.
Okay, so I will amend my motion that we send them a letter of appreciation and also extend an invitation for them to join the roads committee or the long range, the comprehensive plan committee.
I second that too. Second the amendment. Okay, all in favor of the amendment?
Yes.
Dan, Carol?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So do you have the wording?
So the motion was that we dissolve the ad hoc public works committee. Send a letter to all the members thanking them for their participation and inviting them to join the roads committee for the long range or the comprehensive plan.
Yeah. Do we need to vote on the amended,
Yes, then we need to vote on the amendment.
on the amended motion?
On the amended motion.
We voted on the amendment.
Amended motion, so now we
Need to vote on the total motion.
Right. We voted on the amendment, so now we need to vote on the amended motion. Okay, all in favor? Dan,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Okay, I'm in favor.
Okay.
Okay, good. Well, that was a good outcome.
Yeah. Moves right along.
Okay, moving right along, I move that we open up the discussion on map digitization.
Second.
Question here. The integration with iWorks, I thought he had said $800, not 300, not 3,000. That was on benefits.
That's that third-party system integration.
Yeah, and I thought he had said, and I've made a note of it on it, that it would be more like $800. We didn't think that it would get as high as 3,000.
What he came back to me, what's on your memo sheet, that those are his words. Integration with iWorks has not been, he said you didn't include it. If we want to, we should add another 3,000 and we might need that entire 3,000. We might not need all of it, or we might need a little more, but it would cover the majority of integrating.
I move that we approve the CAI map digitization project at using ARPA funds at a cost of $46,250.
I second that motion. I think there'll be time for some discussion, because I know we have a question on that.
Yeah.
Amount of integration and the costs associated with it.
And this is gonna cost us $3,000 a year now.
The annual fees, what would be due would be 2025, and that annual fee would be 7,900.
Year?
Yes.
And what about the annual hosting fee? 3,000, is that part of the 7,900?
The annual fees include hosting, the queries hosting, the document upload tool, and the annual maintenance. All of that is included in the $7,900 cost,
And that would not have to start until 2025.
2025.
The first year is included in
Right.
the 46.
Yes.
Bruce?
So I got a quick question, and somebody may have to refresh my memory on it. Did this go out to RFP?
Sorry?
Did this go out for RFP?
We went to KB cog and CAI
But did it go out to official RFP? So it's over $15,000, it had to go out to RFP, doesn't it?
It doesn't, if you're using ARPA funds.
I would that's awful lot of money every year to for this. I would recommend, I mean, me as a taxpayer, I would like to see this go to RFP, but that's just me as a taxpayer. $46,000 is a lot of money to spend upfront, and then $77,900 every year is a lot of money. Go for every year.
Is there anybody else out there that does this?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that they're limited.
Very
You know, there is.
Very limited.
Yeah.
I can tell you from the experience of the planning board, trying to get to, this work limited to KB cog and CAI.
That's it.
That was it.
And KB call can't do the digital.
No,
Not for
this.
this.
No.
And they came back and said, because we were already looking at them with the council.
Yeah.
So we're already looking to them for the contract and the comp plan, so. Joel had asked if he could see what they could do, and then he came back and said that wasn't something that Katie Clark was capable of doing. And if we
Everybody's figured out one
want to
company
match
that can do
Right.
they don't want.
it. You got one company that can do it, and they can charge whatever they want to charge.
Maybe look at competition before we get to 2025. Who knows?
Any further discussion?
Oh, one other thing though, on page 2 of that, we requested 2 full-size hard copies, and he said that he could, because Rob works from 1. And the other one is over here and is accessed constantly by the public. And they said they would provide 2 at no additional cost, so I want to make sure that that gets done.
I'll make a note of that, Melanie. 2 of the large maps, right?
Yes,
Two
both
sets.
sides. Yeah, it's the second,
2 sets.
second paragraph on this.
No,
page.
I got a question. What happens if 3 years down the road, when half of us aren't here anymore, decides not to get funded every year
That, I guess that's what I was kind of getting at.
with, for that kind of money? What happens to this whole system at that point?
Like, do we own the digitization once they're done with it? Or if there's an end of the contract with them, do we then not have access to what came through?
We just wouldn't be, continue to be updated from there.
Right.
Right, that's.
I
what
think
was-
we own the data,
Right.
but they would cease to host, and so what would be available through them online? Hosting that data for the public, that would stop. You would have to find another company to do.
Another
that.
vendor.
Yeah, and maybe maybe by that point, there would be more vendors. to do it.
Well,
Rob has something in the.
Rob?
Yeah, right. There are other vendors out there that can do the maintenance. I'm not saying that you should go with the person who's creating these maps. But you talk about the 3-year down the road scenario, there are other vendors that can do a smaller scale, like Katie Cog couldn't. There are vendors like that, because we use, now it's been updated in Brattleboro. This is our second go around, we put it back out of RFP again, we found a smaller vendor, I think it's just a 1-person operation that maintains it every year.
But they don't do the maps, initial maps and everything.
They don't do the initial maps, that is quite an undertaking.
So they'd probably do more like, he was saying, if you had a person in the office that was dedicated to. maintaining
Updating and maintaining, yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Peter?
I,
No?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Dan?
With reservations, yes.
Barbara? Yes. Okay, 5 in favor.
So, and then they said they could have this done in 6 months.
Yes, all of it. So I'll get a hold of Aaron this week.
And can you just ask them to clarify that 800 versus 3,000?
Yes. For the I work.
Yeah, because
So if we've got this going out of the opera funds, and we've got the dam from the opera funds, what do we have for total left? Just
That last page in your book.
Last page.
Right
No,
on.
last,
Right
right,
after
right.
CAI.
Oh, sorry.
That's
a great
that's
point.
page.
216.
Minus, so that would minus that 46, 250. You should have 160 something.
Oh, I see.
$170.
169 something maybe, is that somewhere around there, right?
175.27.
Yeah, that's what I got. 170.
We have the old math. I don't know what new math does, but that's what old math does.
So, yes.
Dan brings up a good point about the remaining funds. Are there other projects or other efforts in the works that would need to draw on those?
We are waiting for bids on, various projects, including roofing at the Center for All Seasons.
Correct.
As well as, roofing at the North Belgrade Community Center.
Yes, I think Corey's on, I think Corey, you have that covered in your budget for the North Belgrade Community Center, the roofing.
Yes, it's covered.
But for the Center for All Seasons, we're waiting for an estimate on that.
Yes, we are. They can't seem to get a mason to commit to working on the chimneys.
Okay.
And our plan was, because I did have a question on those, and I put a slide on one of them, saying there are these in the budget. So the North Belgrade Community Center, a new roof on that is already in the facilities now for this year.
It's not a new roof, it's a repair, and snow guards to keep the snow from tearing the stink pipe off the roof.
So,
It's a metal roof, so it shouldn't need all of them.
right, because that's what
Nope,
I'm
it
like,
just needs some repair. I don't know how long it's been leaking, but it needs to be fixed ASAP.
Before winter.
And we don't have any kind of ballpark for the Center for All Seasons.
I have not yet. He said the biggest part of that is going to be to find a mason to work on the chimneys, and then he would do the flashing. But the chimneys is the biggest thing because they're deteriorated so much around the flashing that reflashing the chimney will not, I mean, yeah, just doing the reflashing without repointing is a waste of money.
and who's he?
Fowler Roofing, the ones that originally installed the roof, are the ones that are giving me the quote.
Okay. Because I know there's a handful of masons in the Augusta area, like Brian Larson.
You could go to the ag and get a list of masons.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
should
I'm
we-
just waiting for the guy that they typically work with. I've got a couple that I've dealt with in the past that if they can't arrange for a mason, I will.
Yeah, well, I think that's what I'd tell them. You get to a certain point, give them a date, and I want to get a mason or we'll find a mason.
Yep, absolutely.
And it depends on if that's part of their contracted price too. You know, if that's.
If it's
outside of
somebody
it.
they use.
And are we looking at using ARPA funds to do these projects, and if so, why?
Well, we had the, 25,000 in the budget for North Belgrade Community Center, and we have 75,000 in the budget for Center for All Seasons, but there is considerably more expenditures coming for the Center for All Seasons if we actually get the work scheduled and get it done. $75,000 is not going to cover even the insulation that is needed to stop the ice buildup on the roof. But
And is
I
that-
am,
Or is that all that's left in there for that? Because the Center for All Seasons repairs, the money for that has been supposed to be carried forward for the last couple of years because the work wasn't done.
if there is money carried forward, I know nothing about it. Because when we did our budget process, I know there was $100,000 divided between the Center for All Seasons and North Belgrade Community Center. Other than budget money other than that, I don't think we've found anything, but I certainly can check into that.
Yeah, because it should be in the capital reserve account that was, and that request was made a couple of years ago when we had the cost estimates to have it done, and we had budgeted for that amount. And then we looked to, if any monies were not expended on that, to have, I believe we actually had a warrant article to put that money back into the capital reserve so it wouldn't be tapped for other reasons.
That is certainly something I would gladly check on, because we really need to get this building squared away before we have more costs than what we already have.
In that office, and that time we were going over budget, we spent it out.
That's all wrong.
So, but there is money in the capital reserve for the recreation center, which is for the, you know, for programs, for maintenance, but there is money in that reserve account.
Okay.
But we spent all the money that we raised and appropriated, every penny on it, over 100.
Okay.
So these are some of the things that were on the original suggestion list for ARPA funds. Village dam repair is approved. Water systems, costs associated with the public water system, but that's all done by the state, so we don't need to do anything with that. Public lake access, that's something that was in the comprehensive plan. And I know that Pat Donahue keeps looking for appropriate properties. And there hasn't been anything come forward yet. New fire station, Seven Lakes Alliance for erosion control on town properties, we approved that. Video meeting equipment for the center for all seasons.
That Dan McGlatching, I hooked him up with the audio visual person who does UMaine Farmington. And Dan was gonna reach out to them because they were gonna come and do a no-cost quote assessment on the building and what would possibly be needed. So I hooked him up with them, and Sue Perino also was going to have the audio visual person who does the PAC contact Dan.
Okay.
Or she was gonna reach out to us and then have one of us get the information.
Okay. I mean, that would be, in my mind, that would be money well spent
Yeah.
to upgrade that. Okay, comprehensive plan update, digitized tax maps, that's already authorized. Public Wi-Fi hotspots. I guess we put that on hold because of the huge influx of broadband, $42 million from the state.
Yeah, huge.
Have we reached out to the folks at all that are doing that? I know they were looking to come to board meetings, which I had mentioned back in March or April. They wanted to be on the agenda so that they could come to each town with what they can offer and what it would
I
cost.
haven't, and we wanted to, I had that gentleman pop in and spoke with me who wanted to be part of a broadband committee. Which we never got off the ground, but it would be great to pull him and some others in to work on that.
Was that Michael Saxel who wanted it on Rockwood?
No,
No.
it wasn't, no, that wasn't the person. It was a different gentleman who works in the industry.
I'll see if I can go back in my notes. There's a lady from the state that her job is to oversee the broadband initiative and to go out to each town. Because one of the things that they're offering is if you're a low-income household, they will pay $30 towards internet to hopefully get internet into more homes that can't afford it. So there's a program for that, and then they also have the broadband expansion.
Right.
That they were working at. You know, if we don't ask for it, we're not gonna drop any money on the program.
Okay.
What's the $10,000 per drop on that last year?
That's the cemetery, the grove
The
stuff.
growth control.
And then Michael Saxon with Rockwood Drive broadband, but, you know, we pretty much decided that it wasn't a good extent. It wasn't, we couldn't justify spending that much for just one road. Yeah.
And tell the rest of the people.
Right, drive through town office, Public Works Department, we can cross that off for now.
So,
And I know that, you know, there are a couple of other possible projects that people are thinking about.
Okay.
So, you know, at this point, we still have 170,000, but I mean, I think that it would be, you know, really to our advantage to try to finalize things as soon as we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Barbara, what happens if there is no need to expend all the money? What happens to it?
It goes back.
It goes back.
Yeah. Which. Okay.
Okay, I think we can find.
I think we can find places to spend.
Well, it's gotta be.
We've got more projects than we have money, so.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay,
You know,
we voted, we're done, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
On the next thing.
I move that we open discussion of RFPs, bids on fire hydrant tree services, from heating services, sand and salt mixing services, and assessing.
Second.
So. You wanna? Please.
I know Dan and Travis are both on if we want to tackle the dry hydrant. Dan, do you want to speak about that? We had a RFP out for that and we got 2 bids in, and Dan let me know that he would like to budget for that for next year. And you should
Yeah.
have copies in your packet.
Now, is a dry hydrant something that we can use ARPA funds for?
Yes,
Yeah.
If we could use the money from ARPA, Dan, and get the project done before next year's budget season.
I mean, that's a possibility. I was a little concerned with the difference in pricing.
I was
Between the
too.
two. I was a little shocked,
Dan on that one.
but I mean, I really put it out there, just wanted to budget for it. I had no idea what it would cost. I've never had to do one with a project by itself. So, I mean, if there's funds for it, it's a possibility. Probably best to do it in the fall when they draw the water down with DEP and stuff like that, but I just haven't had a chance to pick apart the quotes to see what the big difference was.
And I looked through them, but I was like, oh, I'm leaning to the experts on these. Because I wanted to be sure, because there was such disparity between the 2 contracts, and both names are folks that we know.
Yes.
And both have good reputations. So, but the difference between 30,575 and 11,955 is a whole lot of money.
Big difference.
Yeah, I agree. And I maybe we can fine tune the bid document for next year. At least I have a ballpark what to bid, budget for. Because we'd like to find a couple other ones in town too, but at least we have a figure that, somewhere in the middle there, we can probably budget for and get it done.
But I think what I was asking him is if we don't have to put it into next year's budget, and if we can use ARPA funds for it, would you be ready to pick between the 2 now, or do you want a little more time to fine tune them? Kind of pick through them and make sure that. there's
I
no-
could definitely look into it in the next week or before the next board meeting or so. And then maybe I'll have the chiefs get together and then we'll go through it.
that would be great. Yes.
And then that way, if it's something that we can get done using the ARPA funds and you don't have to figure it into your budget.
Yeah.
Then maybe we could move forward on this one sooner rather than later.
No, that sounds good. I'll take a look at it and get back with Lorna and get it back on the agenda.
Okay, so I make a motion that we table the dry hydrant discussion until the next meeting.
And that's just in a week, so will we be ready in a week? Dan?
I can try.
If not,
I'd probably go to the next meeting just because we got the building thing coming up and there's gonna be a lot going on with that, I hope.
Oh, that is,
That's on the agenda too.
yeah, so we have tonight and then we have a week from tonight and then we won't have another one until August.
Right, the first Tuesday in August.
Right.
First Tuesday in
Yeah,
August.
let me see what I can do. I'll get a hold of Lorna. I'm out of town right now until Thursday. But yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Oh,
Okay,
thanks for
great.
joining us.
Actually, the August 1st is the,
So it would either be July 18th or August 1st.
right.
Do you want to table it to August 1st, Dan, and give you a couple of weeks to?
Yeah, I think that would be better
Okay.
if I could, yeah.
So that'll be my motion.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
any more discussion? All in favor of tabling the dry hydrant discussion until August 1st? Peter?
Yep.
No,
Yes.
Dan?
Yeah.
Carol?
Yes.
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 Yes, okay, 5 in favor of tabling.
Okay.
So next up is. What order do you want to do it in?
Just do it in the order.
Plumbing and heating, is that what we have next?
We had two bids come in for that. You have copies of each of the proposals. And then just a little short cover sheet that shows you kind of the basics of each side by side.
Person who runs a business, I don't know how you can survive with a 10% markup on goods. See, one of these is a 10% markup materials.
Right.
You can't survive with a 10% markup.
You got a higher hourly rate to offset it.
Someone can't figure.
Yeah.
It's I think because they do a high first hour rate, that's probably how they make it up.
I make a motion that we award the plumbing and heating contract to Bob the plumber.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Bob the plumber has his
Sorry,
hand up.
Bob the plumber, take the floor.
And we're, like the last contract, we're willing to hold the price for 3 years, if you guys are willing to sign into a 3-year contract.
We put ourselves a winner. And you can, and for your contract.
So we need to amend the motion. Sure, include it for your contract.
I would like to, yes, I will amend the motion that we award a 3-year contract for plumbing and heating to Bob the plumber.
Second.
All in favor of the amendment? Yeah.
Yeah.
Carol?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, all in favor? And so the amended motion is to award the contract to Bob the plumber for a 3-year contract.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yes.
But, okay,
Yeah.
no, but we need a second.
Yeah, I
Oh,
need
oh, no,
I
we
mean,
have that.
I moved it, also, we need a second on the amended motion. Okay, all in favor? Peter?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
Carol?
Yeah.
Dan?
Yes.
Barbara? Okay, 5 in favor. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Next is your sand and salt mixing, so you had 3 bids come in.
Four.
Oh, I'm sorry, what did I say? Did I say? I went 4, I'm sorry.
No, we're
4, so you've got a quick, just a little cover sheet shows you the price per yard that they each bid, and then you have copies, of course, of all of their with them.
And there's no conflict of interest with us awarding the contract to the current road commissioner, correct?
Shouldn't be.
What?
Shouldn't be. No.
I make a motion, we award the sand and salt contract to Jason Stevens at the price of $14.10 per year. Second.
All in favor? Peter?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then 5 in favor. Questions in order to know who to ask.
The next one, tree services, we had 2 proposals coming in. And you've got the cover sheet there that gives you the comparison, the hourly and the emergency rates. Neither does any pesticide application.
Is all seasons who we've been using?
They are used quite a bit, yes.
And we've been paying them $150 an hour. And do you know what constitutes an emergency? Like if we have a storm, is that we're gonna pay $200 more an hour, or if they're
I would assume if they're called out, to me, an emergency would be like, we have to do this today, you have to be here right now, or it's at night or on a
Car
weekend.
accident.
Right,
Really, that emergency should be defined in the contract.
I don't see anything in the bid that specified what an emergency is.
That's the other thing is, the RFPs were kind of weird. I never read them over before we went out. They're kind of weird how they were. I do have my old one and the old contract I can bring in to Lana, so we kind of have the copy. And it kind of specifies emergency, what's considered emergency and this and that, all in the town contract.
It should, I mean, I have contracts with people on fire protection, and it's this much of it is after hours and this much is on holiday and this much is an emergency call. So it should be specified in any contract.
So true.
And it should have a time frame. I mean, like on the plumbing and heating, it has a time frame. You know, like 8 to 5 is, you know, regular hours, after that, so time and up, you know, so on and so forth.
Yeah. I know one of the companies I have a contract with, it's like, they have levels, level 1, level 2, level 3, service calls. Level 1 is within so many hours, level 2 is within 1 to 2 days,
Yeah.
you know, and then it goes down from there. It really should be specified.
So is that something that we should specify before we sign the contract? I mean, before we award?
We can award it, but they're gonna have the
It should be
opportunity, if
included,
they
right?
don't sign it,
Okay,
they, when they look at it, this is,
okay,
you know, if they decide they don't want to sign it, then
okay.
they don't have to. But we should have something,
I'll research that.
yeah, because I mean, it should be in Bruce's, it should be in any contract, if you're gonna have to.
Yeah, I'll bring,
Electrical, you know.
it won't be tomorrow, but Thursday I'll bring it in, want to drop it off in your office. The old one.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Deb. I move we award the contract to All Seasons at the hourly rate of $100 an hour, emergency at 200, no pesticide applications, with the stipulation that we will include a definition of emergency that is acceptable to the town and to the contract.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor? Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Dan?
Yeah.
Barbara, yes. Okay, five yes.
What do we have next? Oh,
Assessing, I spoke with Robin, he's here, and he indicated that. Changing. Assessing services in the middle of the year was quite difficult because he's in the middle of getting, things wrapped up so we can commit and get tax bills out. And that he would be willing to sign a paper that would operate under the old contract until the end of this year.
So were we trying to get all of our contracts so that they were renewing at the same time,
Yeah.
which is, we're going for July?
We're either doing the July or January. Some of them are January, December.
So that's if we like to sign the letter, that this should be in January.
Right,
Right.
instead, yeah, which is fun.
Okay, so do we need a motion to extend the contract?
I move that we extend the contract for assessing services through the end of the year as it currently stands.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Rob's like, no.
One more discussion, folks. Okay, Dan?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Melanie? Yes. Peter?
Yes.
Okay, 5 in favor. Thank you, Rob.
Yes.
Thank you, Rob.
He's not at the hot seat quite.
No.
Your property management will be on for next week, and Jane from Spectrum Property Management will be here to meet with you and answer any questions you might have.
All right. Have we gotten back to her with her items, the items she's done?
Yes, Corey, I know Corey already has taken care of some of those things.
Okay.
So are we tabling the investment management services, RFP?
Those
Oh,
are,
it's July.
yeah, those are for your
That's the next
next meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
Okay, moving on to new business. I move that we discuss appointments and resignations, beginning with Kelsey Lee. Michelle
She
Peters.
emailed that it's not gonna be, state's still in negotiation and she is working with.
Okay, so I move that we table Kelsey Lee's nomination
Second.
until time that
Tuesday, August, the
the August, the first meeting in August.
should give the state a chance to wrap up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll second
Okay. All in favor? Yeah,
Yes.
Cheryl?
yes,
Yes. Susan?
it. Yes.
Okay, 5 in favor of having Kelsey Lee. Reappointment of Paul Feinberg to the Lake Committee. I move that we.
did we rename this committee?
Not yet.
Not yet?
They
Okay,
haven't formally.
okay, all right, that was the only question I had.
I make the motion that we reappoint Paul Feinberg to the Leagues Committee.
All in favor? Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question to ask. Why would we not table this until we see the person?
Because it's a reappointment. You don't have to be one person for the reappointment.
Good answer.
Kelsey was a reappointment to run, but a first time.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you.
I don't want to see.
Yeah, we don't force them.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, okay, 5 in favor. All right, move, we open the item of fire department appraisal of properties. Bruce.
Okay, so in your packet, you guys have got some maps, and I laid out a new map on all you guys, notebooks tonight. The one you left hand, yeah, left hand. So this land, we just kind of, got this, came up, this yesterday, and we got approval from the landowner to speak about it tonight. This is probably our most interesting piece of land that we'd like, because it's in the Depot Triangle. So it's kind of where we really wanted to be, to keep up the distance for the fire station. It is a 4-acre lot. So we kind of need to move fairly quickly on this, because there's somebody else that's trying to make an offer on this too.
That's this one,
Yeah,
and it's the triangle piece.
yeah, it's the
63A.
63A.
really? Do we have a price on it?
No, we're still gonna have to go for appraisal.
Okay,
I mean, the property that's sold up in on north on 27, that was sold for 275,000. So that was 5 acres, so I'm gonna figure it's probably gonna be right in that same ballpark. But that's why we still like, well, get approval for appraisal to get it appraised, but we also like permission to kind of draw up a contract, bring it back to your next Tuesday board meeting, so we can get a contract signed with the landowner.
How do you do contract appraisal?
I'll let Dan answer that one.
I didn't hear that. What was the question?
How do you do the contract without the appraisal?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you do a full contract, you do like a first refusal to, to buy it. So at least we can lock him in, but I don't even know, I talked to him today. I mean, I could sit down with him here in the next day or two. He said, make him an offer. He said the house isn't worth much and make him an offer for the land, but I said, I really can't do that without select board approval and stuff like that. So the appraisal would be the easiest way, because at least you're coming out and seeing what things have sold for. But that's going to take time, and we've been fighting for pieces of land, and I hate to see one of these slip away. We got these 3, and I really hate to see us lose them.
And out of the three there, this is the most desirable.
Well, this all came to light. We had a meeting last night. I didn't talk to him today, so the building committee hasn't really. They knew about it. I mentioned it last night, but they didn't know I had talked to them. So we really should take it back to the building committee to pick which piece property is the best or which one they want. I don't want to be the one making that. I'm thinking it's going to be this one, but I could be wrong.
Do you think if we table this till the next meeting, that would give you a chance to touch base with the building committee? And see
Yeah, we
if
probably
this-
can have a meeting. Is it something, I don't legally, can we have him come to the meeting and talk to us and talk about pricing and stuff like that? Or is that,
Or should
we're
we do
not
that?
signing anything, we're not agreeing to anything, we're not,
Yeah, usually we do real estate in executive session.
So,
all right.
Bruce?
so could we schedule for the next meeting, ahead of the beginning, an executive session for real estate discussion?
Like from 6:30 to 7?
Yeah, or, I mean, whatever you guys make a decision.
I think it's better, we found it's better to do executive session like that before
Right.
the public meeting rather than after when
Right.
everybody's
Right,
tired.
you guys call the time and we'll make it work somehow.
So do you want me to see if I can get the owner for that session, or is this just to talk to us?
No, but y'all went through Dan.
What's
But
that?
Dan, do you want to talk to the building committee first and make sure that they think that this is the best piece of land?
Yeah, I
you
can
should-
email them out tomorrow.
Okay, and then if they are all in agreement, then we would invite that one person, or would you want all of them at that executive session? Building committee picks that piece and says, holy crap, let's go.
I think that's what, let them pick it, and if they say yes, let's go with that, then we move forward.
Okay, and if they pick a different one, then we would have that one, okay?
Yeah, and then we'd probably go through the appraisal process, because I don't know, they don't know what their property's worth, and they'd rather have an appraisal done, and I think it protects the town too. I mean, we have a little guidance knowing that 5-acre lot sold for $275 in the village. Well, not the village, just north of my office on the right. But it is on 27, so that was bare land, but that gives you a ballpark, but
I mean, you'll have development costs, which will be the cost of taking the building down.
oh yeah.
But we'd have that every.
I'm over here like,
Unless you had a bigger
Yeah,
piece of.
yeah. One of
Yeah,
the other
exactly.
two properties, you'd have to rip buildings down too, so that's gonna be,
Yeah, I mean, I think the sooner the better. An appraisal is gonna take us, what did your guy tell you, Dan?
6 weeks.
Yeah.
6
6 to 8
weeks.
weeks, yeah.
So is this gentleman willing to wait for 6 to 8 weeks for an appraisal?
I can
I
talk
mean,
to
look
him.
at
He's,
comps based off houses that are
Is,
sold.
is this person looking to get full market value, or is he trying to do something for the town? Because,
no,
I mean,
he didn't want to get a real estate agent involved. He wanted to, he knows the house isn't worth much, and he said to make him an offer.
With, from the tax records, and then assuming one of the appraisals is gonna be somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
Tax records are a little bit low,
Right.
Yeah, they're,
so.
yeah.
It just, well, it just depends on what this person's looking for.
Yeah,
They may be willing to take a little less to help the town out, I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah,
Dan,
and I-
you feel.
I could see quickly, I'm trying to look it up, but it might take me a second, but what a town has it at.
Well, you're not gonna find it unless you're hooked into us, because it just got bumped up last week.
Well, yeah, I'd go by the 2022 one, but yeah.
Not gonna look at the tax bill, right?
Well, it's probably. down.
but if you look at the piece of land that sold, I'm sure it wasn't assessed at 275.
Right.
No, tax, no, taxes are always.
Always, yeah, so,
I mean, I would feel comfortable to offer something,
In the middle.
yeah. You know, it's an acre less and.
they can say
Well,
no, and then if that's
we
the
can
case,
offer
we come
more.
back with a second.
Right,
We can.
negotiator. So,
I mean, I think the consensus last night was that that probably is the best. At the meeting last night, we knew this might be a possibility, and then fortunately, it is a possibility,
Yeah.
but disenfranchises shouldn't make any changes for people as far as insurance rating, should it, Dan?
No, because we're only gonna be, I mean, it might be
Yeah.
a little few houses here or there, but we're gonna be fairly close to the other station.
I say it's gonna be the most equitable of the three.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then we also have the access town road and state, well, as long as
Yeah.
state gives us an entrance, well, we have opportunity for both sides.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Right.
Correct, but if they don't, we always can go off the town side.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which that's a better possibility than anything else that we've come up with.
Correct.
We've got one or done.
Yeah.
All right, so I make a motion that we table this to the July 18th meeting. Pending the fire chief's discussion with the building committee.
And we're gonna do that
And the
executive.
owner.
And then and the owner, and if both parties agree, then we'll have them both attend an executive session at 6:30.
Yes.
On July 17th. Yeah, at 18.
I second that.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor? Dan?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Okay, 5 yeses.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
way news that
Yeah.
we've had the last 5 years, so.
Yeah,
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
persistence pays off.
This warrant for you.
And
This
probably
is- this is
spending
meeting
that one. It's looking good.
Wait, Mom.
The sun's gonna come out, and it's gonna be sunny tomorrow.
All right, I think we can get a discussion of the tax commitment mill rate calculations with our assessor.
I second that.
Yeah.
Evening.
Hi, Rob.
Please.
So a little bit more for discussion than we generally have at commitment time. Because we agreed that we were gonna apply a factor to the old assessments. Try to get them closer to market values. And the intent behind it was, is everybody gets a homestead exemption, veterans exemption, things like that. And you can get up to $25,000 of exemption. When our assessments are within 10% of current, well, we're gonna call it current market value. Our assessments before that were in the 60% range, low 60s, you look at the most recent sales. Minimum assessing standard in the state of Maine is 70. What that means is, on average, if you look at all the properties in town that sold for arm's length transactions in a particular year and compare it to the most recent sale prices, we run a ratio study. And that resulting ratio cannot be less than 70%. The state will deem our assessments to be out of standard, and they can impose fine on us by withholding tree growth reimbursement. In this town, that could be a significant amount of money. So we talked about this a while back. And so I sat down and looked at all the sales in town that's occurred over the last 3 years and come up with a few very basic factors to push the assessments up to a number that's within 10% of full value. So we can give everybody the full $25,000 homestead. And we're not in jeopardy of being closer to that minimum assessing standard. And the way the market has been, we could be at that risk again in a couple of years. So this is an easy process to go through. So the values that we talked about tonight for your new commitment include those new numbers. What I really was hoping to happen was I could apply one factor across the board to all property to bring it from the 60s to 91, my magic number I was looking for. But in good conscience, I couldn't do that. I just couldn't do that. I mean, we're a redevelopment company as well, so I have two factors I apply to the land, and of course, buildings across town, we have to assess all buildings the same way. So I took the existing building schedule that was in place, which was created in the last reval in 2012. And in hindsight, the schedule that was set up in 2012 was less than it should be. So our building schedule, cost per square foot were lower than we should have seen in 2012, and now, 10 years, 11 years later, now we're up. So I applied an even factor of 2.0 to all the buildings. So there's a general doubling of the building value you'll see across town. Specialty buildings, the commercial buildings, they had to have a special look at, because they don't inflate. And I said, well, especially the new buildings up there, there wasn't any really thing, any really new at Hammond, but in Gagnon, we had a brand new facility going on this year. But I take care of that specially, like I do in any building, I just couldn't apply the factor. So that was for all the buildings, so that's a very consistent number. And the two different factors were, the land. Off-water land. Oh, where'd it go? My off-water land went up a factor of 35%. And my on-water land went up a factor of 1.9. And my resulting, I have different sales analysis results for the 3 different categories of property. So all the off-water properties, land and buildings, which is the vast majority of our assessments, and that's what the state really looks at as far as ratio goes. When the state determines their state valuation, they can segregate out off-water and on-water sales and have 2 different ratio studies. In lack of enough sale data, they'll lump them all together. When the state determines what our ratio is going to be as it applies to the homestead exemption, they always go with the developed parcel ratio, which is just off-water residential. And that's the big focus. And that fact, after doing that factor of 2.0 on the buildings and 1.35 on the land, our ratio now is 91.07. Exactly what I was looking for. I'm very happy with that. That same methodology for waterfront, I get a bigger factor for the land, same factor for the buildings. Their resulting ratio now is 91.24. And the last category is just land only sales. And those, what you spoke about earlier tonight, land sales vary significantly. Sometimes you get a total arm's length sales that are very high compared to what you'd expect to see. And sometimes very low, you've got people that are just willing to sell their 12th or 13th acre just to help somebody out. So, and that's still ended up being 93.79%, slightly higher. We expect that, we understand that, but we only had, but here's a good example. We had $721,000 of land only sales in the last couple of years here. Conversely, all off-water sales, land and building sales was 24.8 million. So on a weighted study, which is what we do, that 2% difference, $70,000 amount of sales is minuscule. So very happy with that. I'm really happy with the results. So what this all means is by not moving the needle the same for all classes of property, you can see where I'm going with this, the on-water part of our assessment, we're gonna gain value. Off-water went up 1.35, on-water went up 1.9. So the overall taxable value will grow, has grown. And that's reflected in this, the mill rate options I have for you. So very many towns are holding off doing a full revaluation, you know, boots on the ground, going to every assessment, creating every assessment from new again, just because the market is volatile. It's going up 8, 10, 12% a year. Don't know how long it's going to hold, but this will buy us at least 2 years. We can certify 100% this year. We can certify 100% next year. And then after that, we'll have another discussion to see where we're going to go.
I'm wondering how many people have on lot properties that are being a free finance.
Yeah, that I don't have that fact.
Obviously, those went up considerably more.
Yeah, but all things considered, but it's all buffered by, it's all buffered. We have very few land only on the water that are still potentially buildable lots. That's the big money. You know, if you got these all lots, a lot that doesn't have a building on the lakes, usually it's not buildable. It may be subservient to the lot across the street that they're using, or it's a tree growth. We have a lot of that. So it's not gonna be majorly impactful. But what buffers that increase from 1.35 to 1.9 is the building portion moved constantly for everybody. But I see a little bit of a shift, but nothing earth shattering. And on water sales, with buildings on them, was 16.5 million. So we had a lot of data to go by. So I'll have my proof when people come in to talk to me. My proposal to you a while ago was a flat amount for this. I didn't spend all my time that I allotted for that flat amount up to now, but I will be here more often, I'm sure, if those go out, because people have questions. Doesn't affect people on the water or off the water that have their accounts stabilized through that tax stabilization program. I do want to touch on that quickly after we go through all the commitments. So, those people, if there's any, won't be impacted at all if the tax rate goes up because of this.
Now, can I ask Mary a quick question? Mary, how many folks was it you said that took advantage of the tax stabilization program last year that submitted? For
So that they filled out the application, but how many applications did you actually get? Because we put them in a book for.
Yeah, they're
We had 400, didn't we?
I didn't think it was that many. I was thinking high too, so I didn't have that
I thought it was
prepared tonight.
300,
Okay, then it'll be high threes.
yeah.
But the big number is, when you add up all of those almost 400 accounts that have tax stabilized, it's 960,000 tax dollars that we cannot move in this budget. Well, we're gonna get reimbursed from the state at what rate?
We don't know.
I've seen nothing in writing, but everything I've seen has been 100, everything I've been told has been 100. So it's a leap of faith, but one we're gonna take, I think. We have some fail safes in here in my proposals for mill rate. But it's a fail safe because this stabilization program by definition is a new exemption for people who qualify. Any new exemption in the state of Maine, the state is obligated by constitution to reimburse the town at least 50% of the tax involved. That's why you've been around long enough. The homestead exemption reimbursement program fluctuates all the time. And so same idea here. The state is on the hook for at least 50%. So our actual net to be raised is up a little under 8% over last year. So we take that 8% of the 960,000. So that's gonna be, math, what, 80 grand, 82,000? That is what, in this budget we have tonight, we won't collect from those taxpayers. We will expect the state to pay all, half, or somewhere in between that 82,000. So to be safe, especially here where we're calendar year town, our budget ends December 31st. This law doesn't obligate the state to pay us back that 82 or half that 82 or whatever until January. So it's a cash flow issue, it's a cash flow challenge. So one of the things I think we should do is when we set our mill rate, we set our overlay. There are overlays at least $42,000, and that will cover what potential gap we'll have between what we expect to collect from our commitment and what we may not get back from the state. If we get it all back from the state, we're gonna take all those funds and anything that's left in the overlay, it goes into the general fund and you can use it again for lowering next year's commitment. Very strongly, it looks like this program is a one and done. We're gonna have it this year and we're not gonna have it again. So I've fallen short of notifying the taxpayer who asked that. Right now officially is there's new applications that are due out from the state in the fall, for them to reapply again this year. But when they finally exit session, whenever that's gonna be, we'll have that law changed. Any insight? No, okay. We are just, it's unfortunate, you'll see it in your mill rate calculation sheets. We get reimbursed from the state for homestead, we get reimbursed from the state for BET, Business Equipment Exemption Program. when we set our mill rate, we are counting on those dollars from the state and we get them. So we keep our mill rate down here, because we know we're getting. It's over $100,000 for homestead. So we count on that commitment. The state, when they wrote up this new stabilization program, there's nothing in this mill rate calculation that we know we're gonna get the 82,000. Or we know we're gonna get half of the 82,000. We keep the mill rate low. We have to inflate the mill rate to pick up that potential gap. No, go on. Yeah. So that's just that's most of the factors, I mean, they're already gonna apply them in there. Once we get the bills out, everybody will get their new number. And we'll wait to see what people have to say about it. It's easily explained, I've got plenty of data to support the number I chose, and I didn't go for 100, I went for 91. And on, purposely, so.
That's the question. What's your biggest concern?
My biggest concern, with the factor or just in general?
Yeah, with that.
Nothing really. I'm very pleased with the results. Because both on water and off water ended up at that 91% number. So now they are very uniform. Before, an off water property, their ratio could have been at 75% assessment to value. And some of the on water sales were closer to 50%. There's a disparity there. It's legal even if we didn't do anything, because everything was set at a snapshot in time back in 2012. But now that we move the needle, there's still gonna be people that won't be happy with it, because to hit that 91, you're gonna have outliers where people paid less than the new assessment. And they'll have some questions, but I'll just get to take the time to lay out the facts, to show them, well, we use these sales and that's why. Usually there's a good reason. So just a little more time, no big deal really.
Thank you.
So now the big choice. I believe in your packet, you have 3 mill rate sheets. 8.9 mils, 8.95 mils, and 9.0 mils.
And is this an 8.9% increase over what we already set for this year?
So what I did was I didn't give this to you, but I put 2022's budget and 2023's budget. And they vary quite a bit. I mean, for example, county tax is up 3.5%. The gross municipal budget was up 30%. And the school budget was up 1.7%. But after you take out state revenue sharing, and then what was taken from other revenues, general funds, and everything else that comes in, all of our excise and things like that. The net amount this year, we're raising 9.49 million. It was 8.8 million last year. It's a 7.5% increase. Which in these days, what I've seen, with everything increasing in cost as much as it has, I have a lot of my towns that are going up today. The town I was in went up 8%. It went from the high 13 mils to low 15 mils. It was like 7.9%. Just everything going up. So we had a lot of big differences in our gross municipal budget, but it was washed out by what was taken out of surplus and other revenues. So it's a very typical modest increase. So.
Oh, well done, Ron.
So our options, I mean, the budget is what the budget is. Like I said, all 3 of your sheets that you see. So number 1 is the new value for all of the real estate after the factory plot. And it's a little over $1 billion. $1,043,000 is 1.1. Line two, 4.45 million, that is all the taxable personal property in town. So that, then line three is just those two added together. Line 4A, 4B, 5A, 5B is a mathematical way that we have to properly claim the reimbursement from the state for those two programs. So homestead exemption. Line 4A is 23,369,000. That is giving everybody their full $25,000. But there are a few properties in town that would only be a mobile home or a building on someone else's lot. Their tax burden is less than 25,000, so they don't receive the full 25. They have no tax burden. So that means, so all the homestead exemptions together is, like I said, 23.3 million. Line 4B, new this year, is the state is reimbursing every town 76% of the taxes lost on that number, up from 73 last year. And then this, same with 5A, 5B, DETE property business exemption property. $5.1 million of what would be taxable personal property is forgiven at the taxpayer level. And we get 50% of that back. And that is line 5B, 2.58 million. Is looked at as taxable value, but you'll see down below where it's listed as a reimbursement from the state. So our valuation base that we're gonna dip into to get our tax is line 3, line 4B, line 5B, which is represented on line 6. So 1.06 billion in tax base. Now the assessments. County tax this year, line number 7. $846,000. That was a number that was 817 last year. And there's really nothing we can do with that. That's based on the county budget, and our portion's based on our state's value, the state's valuation of Belgrade as it relates to everybody else in the county. 8, the gross municipal appropriation, 4.6 million. We do not have a tip in town, thank God. And then line 10 is our school budget. Because we have a calendar year, school budget is a fiscal year, so we pay 6 months of last year's budget and 6 months of this year's budget. So actually, it's a good idea that way, because you do tether the increase every year. You're only actually having to capture half the increase in that school budget. That's 6.7 million. So the line 11 is just a sum of 7 through 10. Total appropriations, 12.2 million. And then line 12, the state has a formula in which they reimburse every municipality for revenue sharing. And this year, we used 350,000 from that revenue sharing to reduce the $12.2 million figure on line 11. And we get that from the state every year. When we get a check every month, they vary all the time. And then the state planning office through MMA always has a projected number for next year. And it's just something that we come up with. Every town does a little differently, but that's a very reasonable number, and that is actually up as well from last year. Last year was 315,000. And then the big one, line 13, all other revenue. That would be everything that you voted on town meeting to reduce the tax commitment by excise tax. Any accepting all money from the state and the other entity, and whatever we take from the undesignated funds. And that was determined to be 2.365 million. So we take the gross budget, line 11, 12.2 million, take away the 2.7 million from those two I mentioned. So the net to be raised from property tax, line 15, 9,489,000 and change. this form from here, line 16 through line 20 is a carryover of how things were done by hand before we had computers to help us out. Because we have, the first thing we do would be line 17. It would be the net to be raised from line 15 divided into total valuation base of line 6. So if we were to set a mill rate to collect to the penny everything we needed to run and not a penny more, that's represented on line 17. A mill rate of 0.00889. We cover all of our bills without a penny. But statute allows us to collect up to 5% more than our minimum. So line 18 is a mill rate of 0.00933, which is the maximum we can collect legally. All right, and that relates to line 20. If we use the mill rate from line 18 of 9.33, we would have an overlay of $474,000. That means we collect $474,000 over the 9.4 million we had to run the town, run the county, pay the school. So that just gives us a range, and any mill rate that the board chooses between those two lines is proper. So far, so good? Okay. So what happens is on line 19, we select a rate, and that gives us three numbers. It gives us, we'll start the easy one. It gives us on line 23, that would be the overlay we chose. Maximum is 474,000. The overlay we would choose would be 14,875 over the minimum we need. All right. Using that mill rate, we then calculate our two reimbursement accounts from the state. Line 21 is the reimbursable value from the homestead, 17.7 million. Times the mill rate chosen gives us on line 21, getting back to the state $158,000 and change for homestead reimbursement. So again, we do it now, so we don't have to ask the taxpayers for it and receive it later to reduce next year's. That's why this program is run very well. The same idea for BET on line 22. We'd be collecting almost 23,000 from the state for BETE, 158 for homestead, and an overlay of 14,875 if the mill rate was chosen at 18.9.
Basically, at the beginning of all your presentation, you said we really wanted to have an overlay of at least 42,000, correct?
Correct.
So
Correct.
right now, if we go with option 2, which is 8.95,
Right.
over $68,000, which is just above what you said we should have, but
It's lower than last year. Well, our overlay last year was. Overlay last year was over 100,000. We've kept the mill rate the same the last 3 years. And we was able to have, that overlay's been creeping up a bit. So we had about 116,000 last year. Now we've got the 8% increase in the net budget. My thought is, if you don't need that extra overlay, let's not implement it 1 year. Kind of minimize that gain, because there will be a tax burden increase for almost everybody. So if we minimize that increase by keeping the rate as low as reasonably possible. So my recommendation would be 895, but I give you 89, I give you 90, just to see what the two numbers would be. You don't like to split the tax rate, anything minute like that, 8959, the budget around, it's a good working number. So
What was our mill rate last year?
1538.
That's what I thought. And this was my concern last year, was with us keeping the mill rate the same. Because I warned taxpayers, it can't happen 5 years in a row. And because of that, I was worried about this sizable jump.
Yeah, but
For a lot of folks, that's a huge jump when we look at Sydney.
Yeah,
what they get with their mill rate. I hear that constantly. We
Yeah.
don't get trash pickup, we don't get this, we don't get that.
yeah.
But Sydney's just increased huge too.
Yeah, they just did a revale there this year, I think.
Yeah, it has,
You're gonna find more towns are gonna go.
yeah, Sydney's on the water, like double or triple.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the other one didn't, because I had folks telling me that their tax bill went down, because.
And then there's, in a revale, it will happen, it will be probably, it will go down.
If the value on the lakes goes up. And the other one, off lake doesn't go up as much, you could see a reduction in some people.
Yeah, when we set the mill rate at the end of a revale, we'll have that magic number, if the total tax will gone up by 40%. And anybody's individual assessment went up by more than that 40, you will expect to see tax increase, and conversely below that 40%. It's just the reshuffling of the burden, but it's still nothing really drastic. And having that, keeping that mill rate the same, and having that $116,000 overlay, it gives the town the option through the budget process to realize our undesignated fund is healthy. We kept the tax rate the same, we collected $116,000 more. Let's talk about taking any or all of that 116 and putting it onto this commitment to tether the increase. And, like I said, we had that line 13 where we had 2.365 million from other sources that's undesignated, which would include anything from overlay from years past, the things that are voted on at town meeting. Having those extra funds in your undesignated allows you that leeway. I did a quick to match. I took the new numbers and the last year's budget, and I matched the overlay. That's the only fair way of doing it. So if we had last year's budget, this year's numbers on the same overlay, the mill rate could have been set at 8.38. We're talking about 8.95. That's the increase from 838 to 895. That in itself is pretty good. It really is. So I think the way this whole thing is taken care of, yeah, it's good. I mean, it is an increase, and they haven't seen it for years, but it's expected everywhere you go, how much everything else costs now. So they expect it. And the towns that I've worked in, that we've had commitments already, and these bigger increases, they just kind of come in, they make complain a little bit about the new tax burden, but they understand. It's not just the town has increased costs. So I think it's pretty minimal.
And it's that big of a jump, of course, where my concern is always gonna be the folks, Belgrade is an aging community,
Right.
and a lot of folks live on fixed income. And that kind of a jump can be significant.
Yeah, most of the people that you're speaking of are not on the water. So they're gonna be at that 135 in the building, so their land value hasn't gone up as much, so there's a decent chance that they'll be minimally impacted or even less. And if they're stabilized, they're absolutely locked in for at least one more year. We can see through your budget process, if that's something you're still concerned about, then think about what you have for undesignated to keep. If we set it already at 95, try to see what we can do to keep it for a couple of years. Even if the stabilization goes away. That's the best I'd recommend.
Mary has a question that, with these new calculations, the stabilization would kept me at one rate, but with this new mill rate, my taxes are actually going to be lower than what I stabilized at. My husband's 65.
I was over here.
My husband's 65, so, yeah, if your partner or your spouse, you can file. So actually, my taxes is going to be lower than the stabilized rate, with
And,
this new mill rate at 8.95.
right, the mill rate is 8.95.
Right, it's not.
You said 18.95.
You did say 18.
I'm just so.
Sorry.
I apologize.
8.95.
Yeah.
Over what our mill rate, no.
No, it's
It goes from 50 to
8.95.
8.95.
It actually.
Valuations went
Because
up,
he
so
did
the
a
mill rate
factory.
comes down.
It's a
So
little less
The
than.
value is higher, so you got to reduce the mill rate on paper.
Because I have written down my 18 point.
Yeah,
So
no.
it's, so it's a $15, 15 something per thousand, it's gonna be. Okay.
Right,
So $100,000 house now is gonna have an $895 tax.
but the valuation in the system has been increased with the factory.
Right,
to
so if you
bring
have a
up
$300,000 house, now you probably got a $405,000 house.
Right,
That's
so your
awful.
tax bill's still gonna be, right?
And I'm scratching that.
Yeah, please.
So I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah, I don't wanna get that out there.
Pardon me, is anybody cool?
Yes.
Yeah.
It might be right on.
You know, I mean,
Very cold, yes.
I was gonna
You
ask.
want to shift seats up here?
Yeah.
You want to get in the hot seats?
I only asked because.
Shut it off.
Shut
But I
up.
got a sweater on.
I'm fine.
Okay, and then if it gets too warm, we'll just.
Yeah.
Take it out.
You gotta point it at it. Oh.
You can just
You have to
turn it,
take
you
it
can
out.
turn it right off. I think it's the right button. the
The one
orange
that says
button.
off, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Off and on.
There she goes. I think, so it should be going on.
Okay, I don't know.
So Trio will automatically know if you're a stabilized account, we've accepted it, notified you. There's a spot in Trio, we say this property has been stabilized, we check it off and actually type in the tax. Stabilized tax from last year's commitment. And Trio knows automatically when we calculate these tax bills. When that burden's put out there, it's gonna be at either the current tax rate, like Mary said. Or the stabilized tax rate, whichever's lower, it's gonna be done automatically. Doesn't look real pretty, because we had some problems in the last couple of commitment years. But it will be done properly, and Trio will give us a report for what that gap actually is. I was told from Revenue Services that sometime this fall, we will get an application to file to petition the state to get that gap money back. So I suggest when we put the tax bill together, we have a little wording in there that it does mention that if you qualify for the program, this tax bill is at
Right.
the stabilized or this year's, whichever is lower.
Mhm.
So I've had two. I just did a commitment today. I don't, when they produce their own tax bills. And would just give the tax either stabilizer account or stabilizer calculated, but never would anywhere in the tax bill did it actually say that. And if you did the math, it wouldn't make sense.
Can we add that line item? in?
We can line that in there, in draft, because we can put that, we outsource our bills. But I had the town of, Bowden. They showed me their tax bills last Friday, and on their tax bill, it says calculated amount and stabilized amount, when your stabilized amount was lower. We've got a call in the Trio 3 days ago. This is something that I want to talk about you and Nick tomorrow. That's great. It is clear as can be. And on a bill that doesn't have a stabilization, it's just a regular bill. So I don't know what they did, and the assessor didn't even know what they did to make that happen. So I suggest that we figure out how that works. Because that way we're gonna get 378 questions with people, because they're not gonna know how to do the math. And could even be more of a problem if they have that, your tax is stabilized if you qualify, people can ask, well, what do I have to do to qualify? Could cause some questions, but I think it's the lesser of all evils to put it on there.
All right, well, I'm happy with what he's done, and I'll make a motion to go to 8.95.
I'll second that.
Second.
Covers that amount of money you wanted to cover, make sure we had covered.
So the,
Yeah.
Or did you just assume?
I did all three. The only thing would be whatever this board is comfortable with. Now, so right now, the mill rate calculation sheets that are proper, I did out of Trio. Because I said earlier that we get 76% of the homestead back from the state. Well, Trio is still stuck on last year's reimbursement amount of 73. So we have commitment papers for you all the time tonight, but they're wrong. We have to reprint them when Trio updates their software. So whatever the board is comfortable with, sign something that we know is wrong and have to sign again. Or commitment is tonight, you guys vote on it, tonight's commitment. We've got a mill rate that's set, we've got all the numbers, and when Trio catches up, we can produce the, for them to sign, it's up to you.
That's what I would.
I think that makes sense.
Don't just wait,
Yeah, let's just wait.
And there's nothing legal that says that we have to.
commitment is tonight, voted on tonight. And I have cases where bills go out weeks late, so it's totally fine. Okay.
So we have a motion and a second?
Yeah,
Uh,
I think I'll defend us.
yeah,
Okay,
I have a question
yes, Peter.
for Mary. Do you like this approach?
Yeah, but you said you had towns where bills go out late, like how late?
Yeah.
Well, then-
We need our-
no, I just mean that in just to answer the question about is it legal? Yes. There's been extreme circumstances that whatever happened. That the bills went out
When
like
is
three weeks late.
When is the Trio fix gonna happen?
That, you know, you can send the bills out
So we
without
can still
the.
send a bill.
When we-
Motion
when we
and a
go
vote
into
by the
Trio-
board, so that makes it
When
legal
when you go into Trio at 895,
to set the.
everything's gonna be calculated properly.
Okay, okay.
So you're satisfied?
Yeah,
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 as
no,
long
I
as
think
Bill's
Rob
call.
has done a good
That's what I
job.
wanted.
We just can't sign the papers until they get the
Right.
everything written.
Right,
Good.
We can still build the people, we just can't sign.
Exactly. Right.
Great.
okay, we have a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Yes.
Barbara? Yes, okay, 5 in favor. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Rob.
A lot of work, thank you for the work done to get it to this point and then to explain it to us, sort of not, for evaluation. It's
Thank you, I appreciate that.
it's helpful to learn. For me.
Right.
Yeah.
Good deal, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Okay.
Mike, you got a 2-minute break? Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Second, all in favor of a 2-minute break?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, let's do it. Ooh.
I'm usually not cold, I'm like.
Well, we had like, this is great, I was planning on, I just trying not to die.
We gotta move you guys this way, so you're in front of that. No, I know. Even if you were down here, you'd still be in front of it.
Dry.
Yeah, That's what I do my-
All I have is on dry.
I run mine half the time on dry, just, you know, because it's always going in and out,
Right.
it dries the house up.
I can figure out like putting batteries in my control at night and switched over to Celsius and I can't figure out how to make it go back to Fahrenheit again.
What brand you got?
Hot air.
Yeah, that's about that one.
What's that? It's been broken forever. There's been a bunch of issues with that door. We'll try to fix it all.
Next time I'm gonna put it discussion. The town that's doing that is the businesses and a lot of people are complaining about it, it's just,
I just don't know where I would go to over 10-day, work day, because it's actually 11-hour work day. They ain't gonna want me given 11 hours. To go to a 10-hour work day, it's actually 11 hours, good. Half hour for lunch and another half hour for 2 15-minute breaks.
Yeah.
So it's an 11-hour day.
Yeah, for a vacation town, it makes it tough for non-residents to do their business on a 4-day. You either do it on Mondays or Fridays.
Mondays.
Well, that's why a lot of companies that do 10-hour work days. You've got some people that come in Monday through Friday, you have some that come in.
Except we don't have enough people to do that and do vacations.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah, that's why we need, you know, in my opinion, it's like, I need to stay 5 days a week.
They did, shut that air on.
Put it on dry, Mary, it'll help.
I know.
Yeah, it's 65.
You could ride, one drive most of the time, every day.
They don't.
Yeah.
It's cold.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's
Oh, I
humidity
see.
level.
Okay. Refresh.
Let's rock and roll.
Okay. And moving up in discussion of 4-day work week.
Second.
This was included in a town manager's report. Oh my goodness, maybe a month and a half ago, maybe it was a little longer. And we have Charlene, who will be getting done the end of September.
Yeah, she's getting done the end of September.
And Deb has given her notice, so we'll be posting open positions to bring in new deputy clerks. I feel, and Mary and I have talked about this at length, that moving to a 4-day week is a great recruitment tool to try to bring in some younger people who would be interested in working for the town and may want to stay. And it's even a good option for people with children or even people, you know, in the 50-ish range who may want to do 4 days a week and have that extra day to run errands or appointments or whatever. So I included in your packet the identical information provided to you previously, but in addition, and I'll let Mary talk because she put together, she was able to obtain quite a bit of information on other towns. And I think you emailed that out.
Yeah.
Emailed it, but
We
we
got it
also
today.
gave you a hard
Yeah.
copy.
Yeah, and
so-
then lots of hard copy.
Yeah,
So
so
they know
you
what
wanna
went outside the lead
explain
today.
how you did that.
You know, we've been talking about this for a while as an incentive. And we're finding that we're not getting the younger people in here, even during recruitment time. What we do get, is people that want a lot more money than we're paying. And actually, I think that we pay a pretty decent wage. But I think people these days are looking for a balance of money. And so what I did is, and I just did this like last Wednesday or Thursday, is I sent this, I'm part of Maine Town and City Clerks Association, so I sent it out through there. They have a listserv, and a lot of times, many questions go out through there. I had over 100 responses. Right now you see in front of you approximately 36. I had more that I didn't even include of people who had already made the change. Was gonna put it into, and then I had probably another 70 that want the information, because this is something that they're looking to move toward. To help create that balance and help retain employees. But, so we were gonna put this in a spreadsheet. What we did is we didn't put it in the spreadsheet, we put it in a Word document, because I felt it was important to see what the comments were from each individual town, because there are comments, and if you read through there, you know, you're gonna find some maybe not as positive, but then you're gonna find some very positive. You're gonna see different hour options. Some people are working Monday through Thursdays. Some people are working Tuesday through Fridays, but they are 4 10-hour days. Now it's very difficult in here, and it's gonna get even worse because I can't even take vacation because of the way our schedule is running. The last vacation, I ended up having to work part of it, which is frustrating because I have done that more than once. I don't say anything to this board, I just do it. And it's not fair to me, so I have all this vacation building, but to allow this opportunity, you know, to move into 410s, I think will the days and the mix of people. We're gonna look at, as a matter of fact, we're gonna look at hiring 2 full-time employees with, and offering benefits. We're currently budgeted for 3 at the front line. And right now, I can't go with another part-time. I really need somebody in here with experience. Losing Deb for me is huge because I could leave her. I know she can do the job. And she is just a #1 employee, and for me, it's huge. And she was looking for that balance in life. And yeah, she got, coached by one of our former town managers, I will say. But, yeah, anyway, I don't want to go there. But, if we were working that 4-day-a-week schedule, which is something she was looking at, a lot of local municipalities work that 4-day week. I think that we could have, possibly have kept her here. But now, she's made a decision and she's moving on. But, getting, experienced employees, you can't just walk up to that desk. Everybody thinks, oh, all you do is collect money. No, that's not it at all. There is a whole lot more to our job. All the laws, all the rules that we need to know for both CMB, IFW, elections. I won't even let an experienced person touch elections again. Because it causes such havoc with everything, and we have accountability with the state, and we have to make sure that we're doing everything correctly. So, we already have a couple of employees in this town that are allowed to work 10-hour shifts. And I think that it should be considered for other employees as well. And so this is what I'm hoping is a beginning of a discussion. And I want you to take and look at the document and really read through it and see, what those comments are they positive, are they negative? Is there something we can do? We have people in here that work Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesdays off, and then Thursday and Friday. I had a comment today that, what about the seasonal people? Well, you will see many seasonal municipalities in here as well. You have Bath, #1, with 8,700 people, and they are very seasonal. We worked during COVID. We worked with people on the phone. We worked with people on helping them get online, and we're willing to do all those things. I'm currently working with someone right now through the mail because he's out of state. He doesn't want to come up here to register his vote. So, we make accommodations. And right now, I think you will find we are open more than any other town office. We are open 42.5 hours a week, which is, that's a lot. Very accommodating. And, some people may not like it, but people are going to adjust. And like I said, you already have a couple of employees in this town working 10-hour days. And, I don't see the reason why other employees allowed to work 10-hour shifts. And, I just feel like we should be able to be considered to make this change. So that's my feel.
Thank you.
Comments?
So I have a question.
I'll get you, Bruce.
What day of the week is the deadest?
I'm sorry.
What day of the week is the deadest or the least busy day?
Probably Wednesday. Right in the middle of the week. Yeah.
Thank you.
And would this be townwide with all departments?
Well, that's something that I want the board to think about because, you're gonna have to be the people that are gonna have to answer to this. Like I said, you already have people working all these different hours and you have 2 employees in this town right now that work 10-hour shifts. And I'm not sure why they can't work the 8-hour shifts, but you set precedents with allowing that to occur. So,
Bruce.
So I already answered the 2 that work the 10-hour shifts. 1, they don't get holidays. Okay, they get 3 holidays. Actually, I think they're down to 2 now. Okay, that's 1. They have to work every other weekend. Saturday and Sunday. And the reason the 10 hours is so we have medical coverage, 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm not in favor of going to a 4-day work week. They just did it in Oakland. It's running into all kinds of issues. I've heard so many complaints from residents and business people in Oakland with the 4-day work week out there. That goes on Friday. If we're gonna do it, then we need to pick the slowest day of the week to close, not be closed on a Monday, not be closed on a Friday if you're gonna do it. I'm not, like I said, I'm not in agreement of it. But the two people working 10 hours a day, you gotta remember, they're not getting what everybody else in the town is getting. Now, I want the 5 of you to take that in a factor. When, you know, I don't like this throwing the 10-hour days, there's already 2 people. Well, then 2 people work 10 hours a day. Like I said, but they only get either 2 holidays or 3. I can't remember what it is. I think it's down to 2 holidays now.
Yeah. Why do they only get those 2 holidays? They're all federal holidays.
That's all they get paid.
I,
They used to get paid 3 and then they got 1.
If they work a holiday, they get extra pay.
Yes, they get extra pay, but they don't have the opportunity to have that holiday off where.
because they have a rotating shift, right?
Correct.
So they're working 4/10s, but
But
they're
I've
different
seen-
days.
I've
of the
seen-
week. So if you don't work that day,
I've seen people coming in and covering shifts on a holiday, so they could be taken off.
We don't have nobody to cover shifts right now.
That I've signed the time slips.
Well, I can tell you, we just had vacation. 2 of them take vacation and we didn't have any coverage when they were gone. I took 2 weekends myself to help cover. We had nobody to cover vacations. We have no per diems. As of right now, we have 0 per diems.
I
I've
know
done
for certain
payroll
within the
for
last month that we,
there have
We
been
had
no
one.
per diems.
Yeah, there's no per diems. There's
No,
no, I mean, we just
actually,
had a
maybe-
discussion last night.
there were, we've had 2
We had one.
There's one.
But
in the last month.
I had one in the last
one per
month, so
diem.
maybe Nick did one.
Yeah,
because
we've
I've
had
done
2 in the
5
last month.
payrolls.
Yeah, there's one
That covered.
person that's been picking up a per diem here and there. I-
4th of July was one of the holidays.
Correct.
We had a per diem one.
Yes, might
Yes,
work.
we did.
But what I'm stating is, it's not, we don't have enough per diems to cover that. They're not getting paid the holidays. And I brought this up a couple months ago. We had this big argument a couple months ago about this, because they lost a holiday. And then it kind of got dropped. And then now we're back asking to drop the town office to a 4-day work week. I'm not, like I said, I'm not in favor.
So don't, you know, make that decision based on that information. I mean, that's obviously a discussion that the board has to have about the fire department members. But what I'm talking about is recruitment. I mean, the younger people are just not coming through the door. The people that we're gonna get to apply are 40s and 50s, and they wanna work, but they're still looking for that balance. And, you know, it just would be a huge benefit to be able to offer that 4-day work week. But I want you to make a decision tonight. I want you to take, you know, and look through all the comments, because there were a lot of comments and a lot of them were positive. And yeah, it's gonna be an adjustment period. It's an adjustment with any change that we make in town, and we make changes. And there's always somebody that's not happy about it.
I talked to staff in Oakland, not the town manager, but, maybe it was Ellen, who said that, the reason they went to a closing one day was because the staff wanted 4 10-hour days. And so they tried to stagger it so that they were still open 5 days a week, but then in the summer vacation time, they didn't, even with a larger staff that we have,
Sick time.
they couldn't
doctor's
fully
appointments.
staff.
Yeah.
So they went to a 4-day week.
But it really, and again, if you go to that, it really isn't a 10-hour day. It's at least 10 and a half, if not 11 hours. Because you have lunchtime. We don't pay for lunch, do we?
Yes, you do.
and all that.
Yeah, 7 to 5.
We don't pay. lunch.
Oh, no, you don't pay lunch.
No.
No, we get to take that out.
Right,
Right.
so what's gonna be is gonna be 7 to
We
6.
pay for our lunches, just like everybody else, a lot of people in town,
A lot of employees waive their lunch.
they waive their lunches.
Town employee.
Yes,
Yeah,
Just eat.
almost all of them.
but then
So is this something?
So none of them ever sat down and eat, the ones that are waiving their lunches.
Right, that's the thing.
Because that's just it, if you're waiving your lunches, you can't take lunch.
Well, they get breaks, so they could have a 15-minute,
2 15-minute.
15-minute morning snack and afternoon snack.
Which is
Okay.
why there was a while we discussed not letting people waive their lunch.
So are we talking 4-day work week for the office? Are we also considering that for the other departments?
There's some we couldn't do. We couldn't
I
do
don't
it for
see
the
how
Center
you
for All
could.
Seasons
No, Center couldn't do it.
because of day camp and after-school care.
You might be able to do it in facilities. I don't know. I mean, that's a question I have. Is it just for the staff or is it for everyone?
I don't think it would make a difference to the library because they're not, you know, their hours
not
are to
open
accommodate
for-
the public.
Yeah,
Well, then my question is, how does this affect Thursday nights? And how does this affect the Saturdays? If we go to a 4-day work week, the next thing on our agenda gonna be get rid of Thursday nights that we've said over and over again for the last 20 years that I've been doing this, that we wanted to keep Thursday nights. For code enforcement and for folks who work.
But if people have the option of coming early in the morning, then
well,
they
that's
have
it,
it.
if we're open at 7 instead of 8.
Not everybody
that's-
works locally. So what if somebody leaves their house? I mean, I have to be at work at 7:30 on Saturdays. I don't have time to come into the town office and wait in line to get my stuff done.
Yeah, there's not too much way. I will be honest, after COVID, you know, I worked for the town for now, 22 years for the town of Belgrade. So when we rolled here, and even when we first came here, it was packed all the time. When I came back after my little 3-year break, we'll say, I was just dumbfounded. And then COVID hit, the number of people that were not coming through the door. I think a lot of people had become acclimated to doing things online, doing things, you know, because we were so accommodating during COVID. And even now, you know, this is July, this is some of the busiest time. Yeah, we were busy in May, that is it. Lorna sees how many people come through this office and our numbers are down significantly. People have, they, with COVID, they became acclimated to getting
A lot of
online,
people
doing
do it
their
online.
vehicles, doing their boats, doing their ATVs. And the only reason that you can't do it online is if it's brand new, you gotta come in the first time. But, yeah, our numbers are down of the people coming through the office. I will plan to leave in 3 years here, and one of my biggest goals is to really get some organization done here, because there still needs a number of things that need to be organized before I leave. And, so my goal, and I've already talked about it, is to get 2 people in here, that can, you know, work the job and do the job that, you know, I guess, you know, having that 4-day work week was another way to entice people to want to come in to work here. Because working for the town of Belgrade has really been, you know, I've enjoyed it. Meeting all the people, you know, talking to everyone and, but, you know, it's just something I wanted to bring to you. You know, we talked to Lorna, we thought about if we could put it in the advertisement, that would be huge. If you don't want to make a decision yet, and I got it. Take some time to think about it, but I don't want to walk away and have you guys just say no. You know, give it some real thought.
And Mary will retire at some point. And right now, today, we know that we're losing Charlene. We know that we're losing Deb. It's important that we bring a couple of people in who are going to stay and that we're going to get them trained so that when Mary decides she's ready to go and enjoy life, we have people here that are capable to run the office.
I mean, the trend clearly is for a lot of people to work from home. I mean, I know we can't do that here, but there are people who are not going back into the office because they got used to working from home. And I think as much as I don't particularly love closing the office for a day, I do think as we look into the future, we need to look at the people that we are going to hire, train, and maintain. And I think a 4-day work week, I'm seeing more and more and more and more of it. And people I know, people I work with, and I think we need to keep our eyes open to it. I personally, because we have such a summer place, would want us to be closed Monday, not Friday, if we were going to try to accommodate that, and people would get used to it. And you look at this, what Mary sent out, there are a number of places where.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Be a slow day, Wednesday.
Yeah, Monday would be a bad day, because people are right in here on the weekends, if they've got.
If they know that you're not open on Tuesday, unless you want, if the staff is saying, okay, 2 days, 2 days on, day off, 2 days, if that works, there are a lot of people that I talk with who want a 3-day weekend or a 3-day time off. And I don't think we could do that with a Friday, because we have too many people that come up, that are seasonal, that come up early. So
Come up on weekends.
come up on weekends, we'd have to adjust.
Like,
to look at the
a lot of my camp customers come into the town office and do their business on Mondays. They, they come up, enjoy the weekend, and they come in, they come on Friday late. They do their thing, they stay over an extra day and work Monday. And some of them do it on Friday, so
I mean, part of it is, it's not gonna be perfect, whatever we do.
Wednesday,
Well, that's it.
if you're gonna go 4 days for the town office, if Wednesday's your slowest day, that's the day you need to close. And I'm not in agreement of the 4-day, but if you're gonna do it to accommodate the Thursday to 7 o'clock, so on Thursday you could have it open, so your 10 hours is until 7 o'clock, and instead of going, I don't think the 7 to 5 is a good time frame. I think it should be 8 to 6. On the other days, I think the 7 to 5, I don't think you're gonna get very many people here at 7 o'clock in the morning.
You'd be surprised at the people that I've
No.
seen
And you don't get,
waiting.
what I'm hearing is we don't get a lot of people here later.
We don't.
Don't.
And
As a
when
matter of
that
fact, we're
Thursday night,
lucky.
you don't get a lot of people, I'm
We
told.
do
The
not.
last Saturday that I worked, let's see, we had 2 people come in for dump passes, 1 person to use the bathroom. Oh, and Bruce Lewis's wife came in and registered their car.
And the last time I came in on a Thursday, which is 2 weeks ago, I had to wait.
Yeah, she did say she was busy the last, but she had, for the most part,
And that's it.
she said after 6 o'clock, and the ones that I've worked after 6 o'clock,
The
there's
last,
nothing.
the last 3 times I've been in here on a Thursday, I've had to wait.
Yeah.
I come do my stuff on Thursday nights because I don't get to work until 6.
Yeah.
So I am a Thursday nighter.
So
And
I mean, I
can skim into the town office and register the dog. I got time.
do all my plumbing stuff, inspection, in my plumbing permits on
So
Thursday.
maybe we should do an adjustment and do 7 to 7 on Thursdays.
Right.
I mean, that's
Or
an
you-
option where it's 1 person could come in.
And do something.
eight. Right.
Right.
Do it that way.
Give it a-
But I think,
Wherever that works. but-
I think if it's going to, if we are considering this for the office staff, that we would need to have a discussion with the other departments, because
Problem is on the cemetery, you get, in the summer months, you get burials to worry about.
Yeah, it wouldn't work.
well, that would, and the Center for All Seasons, they have after-school care and
After-school care.
daycare, so that's not gonna work for
So the
them.
library,
And the library, that's not gonna,
It's
it's
not
not
gonna work for everyone.
it's not gonna work for everybody.
And
But-
I won't even consider it unless we poll the town.
right, that's what I want, I guess that's what I was getting.
Because
See
it's
what
the
the
residents of the
taxpayers
town
think.
that.
We the taxpayers, we're the ones that make that, make a decision and let the taxpayers be polled and see what they want this open for. They want a 4-day work week, fine, you guys decide on a 4-day work week.
But you need to make sure you have people here to wait on them when they want to come in. And if that's part of what we need to do to attract people, that's why I'm thinking, I guess my concern is, and it would be looking at doing some research, the people I know that are now working 410s they want 3 days off together. So I don't want to see us go and have Wednesdays closed and then have the next problem with, well, no, we really want 3 days off, so we want to switch Wednesday to a different day. I want us to think through that clearly to make sure that we're not gonna have to agree to do one and then have to change it because people want 3 days off together.
But there would still be the Monday holidays.
Right.
We still have
Closed
Monday
on
holidays, right?
Bruce?
Not a lot of those.
So either poll the town or bring it to the voters in March. And let the voters vote on it, and then halfway there, it takes a burden off you guys. And
Well,
it
we're
brings
looking
it
to
the
hire
taxpayers.
people before March, right?
Yeah, keep in
Right,
mind,
yeah.
we're losing a full-time person
Right.
the end of this month.
So what's the city of Augusta, how many days a week are they open? What's the city of town Reedfield, how many days a week are they open?
We have a lot of information here, but. Yeah. So it's not alphabetical, it's by population. What's the
It's by
population of
population.
Reedfield?
Reedfield's about the same as us, about 20.
Okay, Reedfield is open Monday and Tuesday from 8:30 to 4:30, Wednesday 12 to 6, Friday 7:30 to 3:30, closed Thursday.
Yeah, they made adjustments. Mom had the same thing.
Yeah.
Mom is sitting here, all this is.
So they're only, so Reedfield is only open one day late, and that's 6 o'clock.
Do you have a copy of this?
No, I don't.
But I think you're right, I mean,
Some really
compared,
good information.
compared to other comparable towns, we are open a lot.
We are open, we're open 42.5 hours. I mean, the town.
And that
used to
doesn't
be, and
include-
they started
That
closing
doesn't
them.
include Saturdays, the 3 Saturdays in
So,
the
right,
summer.
that's right,
That's another 3 hours.
yeah, so it's 45.5 hours.
So I guess,
3 levels.
right,
Well, I mean, I think we all need to take this home
But
and
I
think
think
about it.
just think about it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it was just, you know, I don't want to flatten, no, I just want you to consider it, because I think it's gonna be huge. I want to take some vacation time, and I'm not gonna be able to, because I really fear that we're not gonna get somebody in here. The last time we put out 4 applications to hire people, we didn't get anything, nobody with any experience, bare bones, no. And we did do some training.
Is this something that you could bring up at your next directors meeting? Department heads? Just to see, I mean, I'm thinking that maybe, I don't know if the transfer station, when facilities are
It
ground.
doesn't really, a 10-hour day doesn't really work for anybody else.
right.
And then what's the impact on this, not just on the public, but on the staff?
Rest of us.
Is there an impact on the staff from the other departments if this office is closed one day a week? I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, obviously other towns do it.
So there could be some kind of retaliation.
No, but I mean, I don't know, do they come in and do they conduct, business with town clerks or I don't.
I don't think we do this for the office staff, and we have 2 other departments that are really grumpy because they don't have that. We should know if staff is gonna be upset by it. And the only way we're gonna know is to talk to them and say, this is what's being considered, because it's not only the townspeople or what we think, it's also, we've got other employees that are impacted by any decision we make.
Right, Peter?
So I think it would be good to talk to the other departments, and my hunch is it's not applicable. I think what we're hearing is that the problem exists for the town office staff. And I don't wanna solve a problem where we need to solve a problem, not try to do something else, for other staff and where it's not a problem.
Right.
Right, so I think that'd be wise. If we want to poll the town, how can we do that? How can we poll them quickly? That would be an important thing, to Dan's point, getting feedback from the town to see how they feel, every taxpayer. It's gonna be real important.
Somebody else can set up a survey.
And survey monkey, or we could print a postcard that said,
That's your best
this is
bet.
what we're considering, yes, no,
What's the next
Possibility.
newsletter?
huh?
The next newsletter.
Fall. Yeah, it's fall.
September. So that would be the earliest opportunity, I was, I would come to insert in there that people could just, throw a stamp on and maybe mail back. Or drop off at the municipal office. I mean, that's the only opportunity that I see to that. You don't wanna put something on Facebook because you're always gonna get those comments. Both. Yeah, and so who would want to entertain that? Not me.
Well,
No,
we
but
could,
maybe-
we could talk among ourselves, and as we're out and about in town, just say, what would you think of? You know, this would just be anecdotal, it's not gonna be a, you know,
I think the only one who's qualified to pull the whole town in person would have been Ricky. Cause he's the only one who's out all the time in all aspects of the town. And unfortunately, we don't have that anymore.
well, but we can just get a feel for it, I mean, if we just talk to people as we run into them. You know, would it affect you if the town office was closed one day? I mean,
Spend the money, send out a postcard or a flyer,
Yeah,
ask them the question. If you have concerns, either mail it back or call and let us know. If we don't hear from you, we're gonna assume that you're okay with it.
right, this is what we're looking at, I think, and that's something we could put together fairly quickly.
Yes.
It'll cost us some money, that's probably not in our budget, maybe we spend $1,000 of ARPA money to get the thing out, whatever it takes. But if we're gonna make a change like that, I think we need some input, and it wouldn't take a long time to put something together. To go out.
We're more likely to get responses back if we send if it's a postage not necessary.
Correct.
response.
Correct.
Right.
right,
We're all
Yeah,
not
'cause
the
the
habit
postage
either of sitting down
has
and
gone
paying
up.
our bills with a check and we slap a stamp on everything. I've been carrying the same forever stamps for probably the last 5
I
years.
know, I don't know when the last time was.
I'm 50 and I'm like, I think I'm good till I'm like dead.
Useless rates are probably gonna go down, but no.
And I think they're
So you can
Christmas.
send priority mail using all those stamps, trust me. I take a box, it's all stamps, because I'm using them up.
Or are people more likely to fill out something online than they are a printed survey?
Some people are gonna do it online, we have a huge population here that doesn't work online.
All right, true.
Right.
Quick question too. What savings would we realize by closing a day? You know, I mean, I guess I would just want to make sure we think about that.
Yeah.
Savings?
Yeah, what
Ca-
savings
Monetary.
Monetary
would
savings?
we realize by closing it? Because if what we're trying to do is solve a problem, and the problem is for the staff here in this office, at the same time, we want to serve the taxpayers of Belgrade. What benefits are we getting? Is it just and only preserving some staff to work here? Or is it that and some small monetary savings because we're closed and sitting on plumbing or lights or something? I don't know.
Do we turn our heat down at night? No, okay.
You know, heat, because it's radiant heat,
No.
it's set it and they get it figured.
So-
Yeah, mental health savings.
Turnover of employees is huge.
Well, we could end up with some extra days of work because of snowstorms, because if a snowstorm happened on a Tuesday, we had to close, we could make them come in on another day. To actually get some stuff done.
Well, and you know, with, what do we have? 10 or 11 Monday holidays? We have a lot of Monday holidays.
Which I'm looking, how do we accommodate that? Because then those weeks will be 3-day work.
Right.
Unless you have Monday be the day off, so that's their holiday and we work around the pay or however you figure that out. You're already not gonna be here for 12 of
Well, then
them.
they're still working 40 hours, but they don't get the holiday.
I still think if you're gonna do it, you need to use the least busy day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not in favor of a Monday or a Friday because those are the two
Free,
days.
free field's on Thursday.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, it's still in the middle of the week.
At this point, I'm only in favor of Wednesday,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's.
Oh,
And I think that there are a couple of municipalities in that group that I gave to that we do Wednesday.
I think they said.
Yeah.
I thought,
Yeah, so.
Did you just say Oakland did Wednesdays now?
no,
No.
Friday,
Friday.
that's the point is I'm hearing from Oakland residents and business people.
It's
Is,
Friday.
it's because it closed on Friday and that's when most people you know, try to do business.
I mean, Portsmouth, New Hampshire's closed on
That's a
Friday.
big thing also you have to consider.
I try to- what do you mean?
Right.
Big city.
It's on Friday, most people get paid.
There, most people are paid Thursday, Friday.
I mean, we have a young lady that comes in here to do the planning board meeting, and it's my part of her. She was very smart, quick, bright young lady. And I asked her if she'd be interested. No, not giving up on where they work with. So, you know, it's right there in your face, you know, she's in her thirties, I would guess.
Yeah,
And
yeah, she must be.
yeah,
I tried to get her when we had the openings previously too, but
she would do it.
she
But
wanted
they were-
because,
It was.
Happy anniversary.
It was her, just a single mom. So.
Well, we're not gonna decide this
We're not
tonight,
gonna
right?
say no, but thank you for listening anyway.
do you want to make the decision to put together a postcard type of, or something to send out to everyone?
Yeah, would somebody
Well,
from the
we-
board like to work on that?
Whether or
I'll
not,
help work on it, or whoever wants to help me out.
I was gonna say, I can help, depending on when it is, but, I mean, is it possible that we might have something back for the next meeting, or are we looking to have it back for August?
You mean have responses back or have?
Have a survey?
No, have, whatever we're going to send out for people to look at, like, this is what we're sending, and then, you know,
First of August, I mean.
and then
first-
Barbara goes, oh my God, you're sending that. I mean, we ought to see what's going out and agree that that's
So
an
like a,
appropriate
like a
piece.
work, a mock.
Yeah, yeah.
Mock
draft,
to
a
say,
draft.
this is what we're looking at
So
conceptually,
lock up for next week's meeting?
if we can do it for next week's meeting.
Sure. Who might work?
Now I gotta ask a question. How do you?
And don't-
Yeah, something short and sweet.
something short and
The town
sweet, you make it
said that
wordy,
a
and
4-day
people
work
just.
week.
Right.
This is the option.
There, you can get a stamp. Do we have our
We have,
postage return on our bulk permit,
Posted page?
on our permit?
Oh, on our permit, yeah, I'm not sure.
If you do pay a
Do we
premium
have
to
a
get it back,
business Permit.
you have a business permit,
I believe
you
that
should,
Yeah.
it
We
should be
Um,
there.
They will be here for a short time.
We should be able to do a card with that, so they can just.
Just
Yeah,
mail it back.
well, what I was thinking is if you can do that and stamp that on it, what you do is you take something the size of a postcard.
Yeah.
It's double, so basically you fold it over
Right,
and you
tear
have
it
the
up.
pre-postage inside and you seal it, so they rip it open, they rip it in half, check off.
Just check it
I'm
off
in
and send
favor or
it
not in
back.
favor and send the thing back in the
That's
mail.
what
Right.
I'm thinking, is you're more likely to get responses if people don't have to find a stamp.
Right,
If they can do something quick and easy.
and we could tell them they could drop it off in the office if they want to come in.
I know.
But you could do that with that way.
If we could do it that way, it's simple.
Yeah. It does cost you money to get that prepayment back. It's like, it used to be 40 cents each
Right, it's
one.
probably more than that,
Plus the
probably
postage.
75
Isn't
bucks.
it
But
60?
if it's that important that we do
Well,
it.
that's
then we
first
pay it.
class postcards, I think are 50 something. They just want, they want it too.
But you're doing bulk, so you could go out in a bulk mailing.
Right, and we have a bulk mail permit.
Yeah.
So.
So it's
Okay,
just checking.
so-
Do what you can do.
So how are we gonna do this? Mary and Lorna are gonna take the lead?
Peter, I think.
I
Peter's-
offered to help, I don't care who does it.
I would like to see what's on it. So I don't care if Peter and Carol want to do it, I don't have
Okay.
time,
Oh,
honestly, while I'm here to do it, but.
Okay, well, I
I'm
mean,
a graphic designer, remember, too,
Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna be something simple.
It's
You're
gonna
in
be
favor
very
of going to a
simple.
4-day work week.
right?
So
yeah, the town is looking at this to help with, to hear the reasons we're looking at it, bing, bing, bing. Are you in favor? Are you opposed? Are you indifferent?
I mean, we wanna
Spot
say-
the comments,
Yeah,
you know, why?
Would it-
Why are you one way or
Right.
the other?
Suggestions or comments.
Yeah.
Right, the day that we're looking at being closed would be Wednesday, or do we not want to even go that?
I wouldn't even.
I wouldn't put that on the card because like I said, you're sending it out to residents, but you're gonna have a lot of people from out of state. And I think if we close on Friday, especially if we close on Friday, you're gonna wind a lot of people up.
But I think I think an assumption is that Friday is sort of the natural, a lot of business, because a lot of town offices
Lot
are
of
closed on
people.
Fridays, that's going to be, the day, I mean, we could say date to be determined.
Or we could say yes, no, indifferent. yes, which day do you prefer?
Okay, you guys decide.
I mean,
That I would do that
Yeah,
to the
that's
townspeople,
too quick.
decide which day is the.
Because they don't
least-
know right, they don't know which days it
I
is.
would simply say that the town is considering going to a 4-day work week with the one day the town office would be closed would be Wednesday. With this, are you in favor of this change? Yes, no? And if no, what's the explanation? Why would you say no? And just give people the opportunity to comment back.
If Wednesday's the slowest day, that would be my option if.
I
if we
would
had-
say Wednesdays are state's day.
okay,
But it's, again, somebody raised the question, is that going to, help the staff recruitment issue, or do they want a 3-day weekend?
I mean, it doesn't matter, we're gonna throw it out there anyway, someone advertises tomorrow. Because we're gonna need to get somebody in here, and if we have to train somebody, you don't get trained in 1 month, 2 months, it's 6 months, a year or more before you're really trained.
We don't
to
even
work
have a
that
month.
counter.
yeah.
We
I mean,
won't
you
have
need to
somebody
post that.
hired until probably Deb is gone.
Oh, yeah,
So that leaves us with just Mary and Charlene working part-time.
and Charlene works 3 days a week.
And Nick helping with what he has to, right?
Yeah, and that's a lot for her.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll look at a draft next week.
No, Frank did a
For
good
me.
job. No, Frank did a good job as, the moderator down there, but
We're online.
Yeah. Got you. Okay,
Okay, so we'll look at a draft next week.
Sure, yeah.
So
Carol, do you want me to try to start it and
Sure.
ship it to you and see how it looks?
Big Romeo at AOL.com. Easier one. I see it quicker.
Okay. I will look at that.
Who's Vic Romeo? Okay,
Okay,
moving forward.
moving forward to other business.
I have something for other business. Our code enforcement officer was waiting to hear back from the state. And he did today, so he put something together. And would like the board or one board member to sign this. He has a letter prepared. So a septic system design, internal plumbing permit and building permit for a 3-bedroom camp was issued in April of 2016. Was also approved in April of 2016. The system was not installed as designed, which is a violation of section 2B3 of the main subsurface wastewater disposal rules, nor was the system completed. The septic field was not installed. Thus, the septic tank pumps waste onto open ground. This property is available for rent on VRBO, which is Vacation Rentals by Owner. Reviews for the property date back to August of 2016. Some of the reviews mention septic failure. This is an egregious violation that has been perpetrated for more than 6 years. State Inspector Brent Lawson will be visiting the site with our code enforcement officer tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. But there is a letter here prepared for the property owner from Hans on town letterhead, which notifies the owner of the violations and fines and steps that need to be taken immediately to fix this.
Is this
So
waterfront
if
property?
We're going tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock and we have not yet noticed the property owner. that there's a complaint being done and then people are just going to show up on their property, I believe that that violates their rights. Because we
It's-
have to notice them and before you do an inspection of the property, we cannot decide this at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night, and then somebody's gonna be at their property at 8 o'clock Wednesday morning. I think that that will get us into more legal hot water than it would if we sent this.
I believe the property owner lives in California and that Hans was getting a phone number to speak with him.
Okay,
And I think it's a state inspector, I think the state can go in whenever they want to, so I think the state trumps us.
Yeah,
The state inspector has to have permission of the landowner before they can go on
They
the
do too.
property. Yep.
right, I would think so, because
At
otherwise,
least it doesn't any heating or plumbing.
otherwise you could get shot, because you're simply an intruder coming in with somebody. And I think if we're doing this, we need to follow the letter of the law, we don't do a phone call.
You
I
do
think
a
we need to
registered
send
letter.
a certified letter. They need to sign for the letter and send it back to the town, giving permission for us to go onto the property. And we notice them that if they do not give us permission, that because of these complaints that have been received or previous reviews, then they have so long before we will go onto the property.
And the other question I got is, I agree, something needs to be done. I don't disagree with that a bit. Something does need to be done if you got raw sewage going on the ground. Was
Can
it,
you log on to Zoom?
was this inspected
Okay.
by a prior home inspector? For one. For two, if not, then there should be a, with that letter, I don't know if it has a letter cease to stop or whatever. I can't know what they call it now, because I'm getting late, I'm moving track of thought here. But, Hans can, put a letter. Lauren, can you help me with that? Is it? called-
yeah, cease and desist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
thank
he,
you.
he has, I believe he has two properties that he's posting with that,
Okay,
both the same issue. So there's raw sewage on the ground, being discharged on the ground. In the other property as well, I believe so.
so the problem, that, you know, while she wait for.
Hans is gonna jump on.
The problem is, I don't know if it's, there's a lot of seasonal camps that their sewer goes from the septic to the leach field and the line runs above ground. And there's no way to winterize that because it's more sewage. So in the wintertime, that freezes and breaks and the homeowner comes up, opens and closes their own can. And next thing you know, they're just blowing, I'm sure that's probably what's happening there, is the sewer, the line going from the septic tank to the leach field is above ground, froze broke. And it
Well, so
But there's no septic,
leach
There's
field.
no,
was-
there's no leach
There's no
field.
leach field,
Oh.
and the septic wasn't completed.
Was not installed as designed, which is a violation
Yeah,
in
exactly.
and of itself, yeah.
So, yes, we need to do something. I'm curious, kind of about a process thing. If it was, the design was approved, was there ever any inspection to say whether it had happened or not?
That I don't know. I don't know who was code enforcement.
Gary Fuller.
Here and here, because that would be an opportunity for improvement for us and the town, making sure that there's some level of that happening,
Right.
you know?
I imagine Gary issued a plumbing permit and not go back.
Right.
Because usually,
It's falling.
I was just gonna say, they have to be noted.
So here's Hans, so you can ask him, question.
I thought.
Hello,
You're muted. There you go.
How are you?
great.
Hans, they had some questions about, the property with the letter,
Okay.
that we addressed under other business.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I think one of them is that they feel you and or the state cannot go on the property owner's land without permission.
No, we have the right to enter the property within reasonable hours. So, and I spoke to the owner today and I informed him that we will be there tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. And I invited him to join us.
Okay, and is he in California or is he in Maine?
He is in Maine.
He's in Maine.
Yeah, I'm looking at the statute right now. You can enter the property at a reasonable hour or enter any building with consent of the owner. So what going onto the property is okay. In the building, you have to have consent of the owner.
I told him we will not be entering the building tomorrow. He does have Verbo guests there. And I told him we will not be interfering with that. We will walk around the house and in the woods behind the house where he's discharging. He's aware of the problem. He claims to be in the process of remedying the problem, but this has been going on for more than 6 years. So, you know, what's real, and we're gonna deal with just the situation at hand right now.
Chris?
So if it is indeed dumping raw sewage on the ground, what can we as a town do to stop that kind of as immediate? Because I'm assuming this is on the water, so we don't want that sewage going into the water system. Does a town have any way to stop that as immediately where it's rented or no?
Oh, yeah, but the house is set back from the water 100 feet. The septic field is supposed to be another 70 feet behind the house. So with the distance of the house, that puts the septic field almost 200 feet away from the water. It is still in shoreline zone, but it's close. What we could do, you know, the provision I put in that notice of violation is that he have it pumped every 3rd day. He's got a 1,000-gallon tank, 3-bedroom house. You know the math. You know, if they use their full allotment of estimated water use of 90 gallons per day per room, in the 3rd day, they'll be approaching their capacities. So, and the provision that he showed proof of having it pumped, you know, or his option is he cancels all of his reservations. As a town, if we were to try to condemn the property and stop use of the property, you know, that gets into legal actions. So my thought is the provision of having the daily pumping, it's an inconvenience and it's an expense to him, but it keeps the sewage off the ground and it keeps us out of litigation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is he looking to remedy the situation, Hans?
He claims to be, but you know, if he was, I would think he'd had a contractor lined up over the winter time and they'd be working on it prior to the rental season. So,
And has he owned the property since that time?
I believe he inherited the property. And the house has been there since 2016. It was built as a 3-bedroom house. The septic was designed as a 3-bedroom system, but he's advertising on Verbo as a 4-bedroom house. So at some point, I will be doing an internal plumbing inspection with a state inspector. And we will determine how many bedrooms there are and what size system needs to be designed and put into place.
I'm happy to sign the letter.
Now, are you sure it's only being advertised on VRBO?
I believe it's on an Airbnb as well.
And isn't there another one like home, there's several of them, I think there's.
Yeah, they're numbered.
Way or something.
Yeah,
Either way, you can have it advertised in 15 different places, and it's still a violation, so.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Every 3 days.
Yeah.
He'll take care of the problem, they get it fixed.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
okay.
Any other questions for Hans? No, Hans, I just want to be sure however we do this, it's documented that you made the phone call, what time, what his response was, because if this ever does get to litigation and we haven't crossed Ts and dotted Is, that was my concern when they said that he lived in California. Clearly, he lived in Belgrade for the majority of his lifetime.
Yeah.
But he also is very savvy. And if we do not cross the Ts and dot the Is, he will take us to court. And they have the means to take as long as they'd like to with that. So if there's any steps that we have to be sure that we take, even if this letter doesn't go out for a few more days, I want to make sure that we take those steps so that we can protect the town.
I would say that letter gets signed tonight, goes with it tomorrow, and gets handed to the owner in front of the state inspector.
Yeah.
That way you've got somebody there that verifies you gave the letter.
Yeah.
You got a witness.
Yeah, and maybe have it signed, but it's something signed that you have received this letter.
Yeah, do we have any notice of violation that they have to sign?
That is the notice of violation. That,
Yeah.
they don't have to sign. I did send a certified notice of violation to him at his address that was on the tax card, which is a PO box in California. That letter has not come back. It's been 2 weeks. I've got no card back, which is why I decided to try to take different tactics and go through the Verbo to make contact with him. And I was able to get the phone number today, thanks to Barbara. And he answered the phone, and he was a little bit cocky at first, but when I told him we were going to inspect it tomorrow morning at 8 and he was free to join us, he got real subdued. He knows this is a long-standing violation. And with the state inspector coming to see that it is actually what it is, and that they never even dug, they didn't break ground on their septic field. He's not going to take us to court.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Hans.
All right.
Thank you very much for all the work on this.
And Lorna says there might be a second property.
Yes, there
Yes.
is. I was going to discuss that with him in person.
Oh, it's also his property?
Oh, yeah. He's got several properties in Belgrade.
I know there was another big property that I'd heard of some violations on that they owned. Wondering if it's the same one.
Okay.
You're welcome
Thank
to
you.
give me an address at any time and I'll look it up. I'll check in on it.
Thank you, Hans.
Thanks, Hans, for following the process. That's important.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Whoever wants to.
Yeah, Barbara, she's like.
Thanks, Brian.
Any other good news, Laura?
It was just, he was waiting to hear from the state, and I told him that if he heard from them and was able to put something together, that I would bring it to you under other business. So when I got here tonight, he had put that letter
Put that
here with a
together.
note, so
Okay.
I knew that he had heard from them.
Okay.
I knew that he was friends with Lois Hazel's daughter, so texted her and said, do you have a phone for him?
Okay.
Okay, warrants, here we are. Where's my warrant sheet? Okay. I move that we approve payroll warrant 73 in the amount of $2,592.85. On favor? Peter?
Yes.
Sally?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
5 in favor? Move that we approve payroll warrant 74 in the amount of $24,416.66. Second. Any discussion? All in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Melanie? Carol?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
5 in favor. EMV warrant number 75 in the amount of $7,397.36. I move that we approve said BMV warrant 75.
Second.
All in favor? Dan?
Yes,
Carol?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Five in favor. I move we approve Registry of Deeds liens warrant number 76 in the amount of $1,026.
Second.
All in favor? Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Dan?
yes,
Five in favor. I move that we approve payroll warrant number 77 in the amount of $24,191.59.
Second.
All in favor? Peter?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
I don't know, I saw that too. Yeah, how come Peter's the only one on this one?
Oh, because it only has a second page.
We should have both pages.
I know,
Because
yeah.
I don't like how this one is just an amount
Right,
and no justification
Right.
for it.
right. Yeah, normally we do. Okay, I move that we approve BMV warrant number 78 in the amount of $5,199.50.
Second.
All in favor? Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Ann?
yes,
Barbara? Yes. Five in favor. I move that we approve the state payables warrant number 79 in the amount of $18,023.15.
Second.
All in favor? Dan?
yes,
Carol?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Barbara, five in favor. Okay, and I move we approve payroll warrant number 80 in the amount of $2,011.16.
Second. Who are these employees?
New recreation, they weren't input into the system, so we got the paperwork completed input so that they could be paid.
So the counselors for the rec,
Yes.
for the rec program.
Yes.
Okay, we have a second on it. Any second?
Yes.
Okay, Peter, all in favor?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Dan?
yes,
Barbara, yes, okay, five in favor. Now, AP warrant, I move that we approve the AP warrant number 81 in the amount of $618,000, $618,495.97.
Second.
Any discussion?
And then mark this one up.
Anybody have any questions? I didn't see anything that jumped out on me.
Are we paying? Or are we paying more for the concert series? Are we paying $600 now concert? I thought it was $400.
Okay,
And then page 3, we've got Benny Bro and we are paying $600.
It might have to do with the number of employees, number of.
Number.
it could be the number of.
I think
It's supposed to be
people
one amount
performing.
was $400 and then it was divided amongst however many, they don't tell me exactly to do it. Is what one gets the most money and they assign it to the others, but I was pretty sure that the amount we agreed on last year was $400.
The contract.
Is they 400 sounds. I thought she paid was a different amount depending the members of the group.
No.
Yeah, because I can't imagine
No,
that
it
the
was
Soul
one- it was
Sensations are
about-
gonna do it for,
Just 400.
they've got about 12 people.
Yeah.
Right, but the whole thing with musicians is whoever's the lead, they determine how much the rest of them get. So they might take $200 and split the rest of the month. Then for them, but that's something that they decide.
Well, we can probably get an answer to that for next week.
I don't see. Oh, here we go, Jenny Bro, $600,
Right.
just that request for payment.
So can we clarify that with Dan?
Yes.
And Christine if need be. Because this is paid for by the town. And it's a lovely thing, I'm not saying that it isn't.
well, you got another one, you got another one on page 5, it's $700.
Is that to
Yeah.
Christine?
Pat Crowell,
Yeah, but he's got a group of about 10 people.
Yeah,
But they're playing this Thursday, the Soul Sings, that. Something in the Sound Sensations, Colwell, you know.
Yeah, I think we're gonna need to check in with it.
But I think if you bring in a bigger group. You need to expect to pay a little bit more for.
And then if the downside is that we don't have the bigger groups and we still provide a music series, that still gets people out of the house on a Thursday. But we also, we looked at a small cost of birth, if they're gonna go up exponentially, then people are gonna start bitching.
We do have contributions that help cover the cost.
There may be that too, so it's not.
Right, it's not entirely coming out of the town
There may
budget.
be revenue on the other end
There
that you
is.
don't see.
Lake
Yeah.
Point,
For
Lake
that.
Home is a sponsor,
Lake Point,
Lake Point.
Lake Point.
Maybe what we
doing
just
the
need to
sound
do this next year, when we just budget a fixed amount, you got this much of the year.
Mhm.
Figure out who you can hire, and you can get to sponsor anything over it somehow.
Yeah,
I thought it was done.
I think that's what we did.
That was the-
I think,
As long
yeah,
as we're able to spend that budget,
Yeah,
Pack
doesn't
Hollow
matter.
don't care if they spend $1,200
and
a year,
Soul
$200 a year.
Sensations, $700, yeah.
yeah.
But he has quite a few sponsors
Yeah,
of the
Yeah,
concert
he does.
series that
Yeah.
offsets
Right.
this. You just don't see that revenue. You
I
see the
thought
check.
it was just the one, because he had sent something out thanking them or something for the sponsorship, I guess that's the one we want to see.
I'll check with him. though.
Yeah, I think there are others who,
Thank-
because there's no written program or anything, so I think there are others who probably are.
So
Smiley.
usually donations there go directly to the musician.
Right,
Not to-
right, the tip jar.
Right.
Okay, any further discussion? We have a motion in a second, all in favor? Peter,
Yes.
Melanie,
Yes.
Carol,
yes,
Dan.
Yeah.
Barbara, and yes. I move that we approve payroll warrant number 82, which happens to have both pages. In the amount of $22,200.02.
I didn't have one of
I don't have that on my list.
oh,
It
yeah,
it was in, what was it, on our tables?
Yeah, it was on you too.
Yeah.
I second,
Because those were the two warrants this week that they.
Okay, any discussion? So we have moving second, all in favor, Peter?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Carol,
yes,
Dan?
Yeah,
Barbara, yes, 5 yeses. I move that we approve the BMV warrant number 83 in the amount of $8,819.46.
second,
On in favor, Peter?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Carol,
yes.
Dan?
yes,
Barbara, 5 yeses. All right, warrants are done. Lorna, town manager report.
Yes, I included a report for you. Hopefully you had an opportunity to review that, and if you have any questions or comments.
I just think we've had some great events lately. The Paul Joy Run to have more than 200 people there for
Right,
an author event, and it was so well run. It was really, really a nice event. It worked out great. I think we ought to have a book signing during the intermission of town meeting.
Yeah,
I mean, I drove up there and I thought, oh my gosh, look at all these cars. It was so great. It was
Yeah.
really, and they did a great job of running it. It was really, really well run. And the first Village Green concert was very nice last week.
it was
It
very
was
good.
great. The music was great. There was a good crowd. I didn't get there until after 7, but it had started to cool down by then.
Yeah.
It was pretty hot, but there
It was
were,
hot.
there were about 125, 150 people who were there,
Mm.
despite being such a hot
And there
night.
were 6 or 7, they happened to be all little girls who were dancing around, running around and dancing, and so it was just, it was really
Yeah,
nicely done.
Yeah, I think the concert series is great. The craft series, I think we're really making good use of the Village Green.
And the 4th of July, the 3rd and the 4th of July, those events came off well too.
Yeah.
So,
I did have to remind people who complained about the fireworks on Monday, I was like, only the first year that the citizens didn't agree to pay half. So, so what you got is, now you say thank you to the Belgrade Lakes Regional Business Group for putting on the fireworks. And
I
next
had
year,
just
check
one
yes.
complaint. I had one complaint on the fireworks. Someone who has donated for many years and was upset that the launch location was moved so that they could not see them clearly this year. And that came to the town, complaining to the town, but I simply found out who to put them in contact with and said, I thank you for reaching out, but this is not a town event, and here is who you can contact and share.
The money was raised privately.
Yeah,
PSAP,
yes, we're all
We-
set.
yeah, who signed the contract?
I did.
Oh.
You said to sign it
Okay.
because we needed to have it in place
Oh, that's fine.
at the last meeting,
I
remember?
mean, I
Yeah.
didn't see the contract. so.
Yeah, I'll make a note and send that out.
Yeah.
Water,
You always
did
have
I,
to see what's-
did I not send that to you?
Yeah, we saw,
I didn't see the
Yeah, I thought
contract.
we saw something that.
I saw a notice saying that we got one, but I didn't see one come.
I
in.
thought-
Yes, I was.
I thought I sent,
you were gone.
I think I sent that out. Waterville obviously is gonna pick us
Right.
up, and I've
Right.
already notified.
Yes, you did 7-3.
Yeah, I've
Okay,
already
that's why I
notified the
didn't see.
state, and they have confirmed that they have received notice from us
Yeah,
for the update, so we should be good.
And then the only other question I've got, is how will we make a note on the recertification on the pool at the rec center?
I know, Dan has had, sometime pools up to school him on what needs to be done, what needs to be fixed. I don't have an update, but I have spoken with him more than once.
I thought we were
About-
already in the process of getting that all fixed this spring.
Well, I thought it was supposed to be open by Memorial Day.
Yeah,
And I've heard a lot of complaints about it not being open.
I just
And
thought
I said, "Geez,
today
I
too.
thought we were supposed to have that done, and we had somebody on. Board who was gonna come get us up and running. To the tune of 6 or 7,000, wasn't it? What we agreed to.
First,
Is there any reason why we just don't hire a pool company so we get this one and? Get
well,
somebody trained?
that's what I thought we were doing, so we haven't.
I mean.
I was saying,
somebody-
what the expense
somebody
of-
back over and, you know,
is it not open at all now?
No, so we have, that's we stayed up about re-inspect it, which.
I'll check with Dan, okay, and find out, and send that out tomorrow as a follow-up.
Okay. And before we adjourn, normally on the agenda, we have executive session for personnel matter in case we need it. And on this agenda, we don't have it, but we need it. We need a brief executive session.
Okay,
So,
I move we exit the regular meeting and move into executive session.
but first we have to
Make a motion to
exit with one.
Right,
for 1 minute. break.
Keep it at that.
yeah,
And that's all we need right now.
Okay, I second that. All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Cheryl,
yeah.
Melanie,
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Okay, 5 in favor of adjourning.
Excellent.
Sorry, exiting. That we re-enter the meeting at 10:10.
Second,
All in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Okay. And I move that we amend the acceptable use policy under remote access to read, at the board's discretion, remote access can be permitted. And that change would be pending Peter's report of a satisfactory discussion with John Perkins concerning the security issues.
second,
All in favor? Peter?
Yes.
No?
No.
Carol?
yes.
Yeah?
I'll say yes, as long as we can get them in here the next meeting. I don't want to wait 3 weeks to hear from somebody.
Okay, okay. So 4 yeses and 1 no.
So I'm gonna be then looking for him to be speaking to us at the next meeting, right? And we're
I mean,
clear,
it shouldn't take long.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah,
just a few minutes.
Yeah,
And
And
it would
would be
not need to be
okay,
executive session?
no.
Or- No, it would be open. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
just-
I just wanted to make sure we were talking.
Security.
and is the board okay if he zooms in, or do you want here? Because I just don't know what his schedule is, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna be asking.
I don't have a problem zooming in as long as it's, yeah.
Right.
I just wanna
I
make
mean, in
sure,
person is always good,
yeah,
you know, it
Yeah.
just feels better, I think, for all of us to have somebody in person.
Yeah,
But if you can only
I'd rather have-
accommodate
yeah,
us,
next-
rather have them that way.
I'd
than
rather
that
have,
way.
right, I'd rather have them than
Yeah.
3 weeks from now.
Right,
time is of the essence, and,
right.
and I just don't know what his schedule is, obviously, so.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
And then Linda.
I hope that we adjourn the meeting.
Remember, we gotta also have an executive session next week too, right? If that land thing goes through.
Right.
Yeah.
That is,
Okay, all in favor of adjournment, Dan,
yes.
Carol?
Yes.
No,
I do.
yes, yeah, okay, thank you.
Oh, the lane comes, we need, yeah. That's right, executive session,
Yeah, you said you want to do it first.
first thing, yeah.